Good evening, one and all. It's Friday, it's the end of the working week, and that of course means it's time for some variety, which today we are looking at the ongoing project to turn all Warframes into D&D monsters. Welcome in everyone, hope you are doing well where you are around the world. I'd forgotten quite how bright this screen is on my face. Just look at the stream as it's coming through. I have a really bright complexion as a result of that right there. It's basically just another key light on me, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Welcome in everyone, hope you are doing well. So, the Warframe D&D project, now for those of you who don't know, basically I am turning quite literally every single Warframe into a D&D monster, or rather multiple D&D monsters, so that they could be used in pretty much any D&D campaign. Be dropped in how and when as you need to. Look at the reworked boys. So that's the intention today, Curb, is to add the reworked boys. Because in the duration of this project, it turns out that both Hydroid and Inaros have been reworked. Not just little changes where I can just go into the stat block and make a tweak to make it fit. I've already updated Gara to match the changes that have happened to her, or are happening to her, I should say. The changes in this document are presently ahead of Warframe itself. But, you know, that's just to try and keep on top of things. But Hydroid and Inaros, they both got completely done over. And as much as they've kept the core of their kits, the way those abilities are expressed, they've changed. And so I intend to change them as well, but without removing what existed before. So we're doing Mirage too. Mirage is going to need a bit of a bigger look at because she's got some fundamental changes. I'm in the process of updating the entire document, so it's in the process of going through beta development now. The alpha document is done, and I'm in the beta stage of testing everything, throwing it against a couple focus groups, couple testing groups that is, and then making the changes to the fundamental core of any Warframes that need it. So for example, I've gone through the stats of every single Warframe. I've gone through their strength, dexterity, intelligence, constitution, wisdom, charisma, armor class and hit points, all of them, and created a more standardized approach. Now I've had the groundwork already set, I'm in the process of implementing that standardization to better fit the styles of the Warframes. In addition, I'm also making core changes here or there. For example, Jaya has become less hit point focused. She wasn't very hit point focused in the first place, but even lower now, and in replacement has an even more powerful casting approach, or a more engaging caster approach. And Harrow I have given perhaps one of the most unique features of them all so far for such a small feature. If I just go a little bit up here to the basic Harrow, we've got Harrow Initiate, and we have this reaction right here. Make sure that's going to show properly on the screen. Slip Mace Rupture. Trigger, a creature teleports in or out of a space within 5 feet of Harrow. Action, Harrow makes one attack against a triggering creature with its Dread Mace. And that Dread Mace is not just a mace, it's a heavy mace with an additional 1d6 psychic damage on top. And that increases at higher levels. The idea being that Harrow, the unknown, the watcher of the veiled threats, has true sight, so can see into the beyond, very high perception, can't be blinded. This also gives it that offense rather than just observation. So I think that works quite nicely. Yo! What's this? 2 at once? My, you guys are loving this.
Chat and wall of text smile.
Good evening, Ken. Chat and wall of text. Yes, there is a lot of text on this. I will be making it look a lot prettier in the final document. Absolutely. Axios, thank you very much for subscribing with your Prime. Welcome to the channel proper. And really, thank you very much for subscribing once again at Tier 1 on 30 months! 3-0! That is an absolutely huge number there. That is incredible. So to the two of you, thank you very much for dropping those subs over here. Cheers indeed. Goodbye, asking, is the Initiate Adept Master leveling system? Yeah, so it's Initiate Adept Master Prime. The Initiates are Warframes which are dilapidated, they are degraded, they have lost most of their function, most of their power, whatever has gone wrong over the years, centuries, millennia perhaps, no one's quite sure. The Warframes have lost their power, so they are only able to cast their first ability, In the case of Hydroid, that is Tempest Barrage. And they are otherwise relatively unthreatening. They're only challenge rating 4, which means that a town or village will be harassed by them, a village terrorized, no doubt, but it doesn't take much of a force to dispatch of them. Initiates right the way down. Yo! Late Night, thank you very much for coming in with those 5 gifted subs, your first gifted subs no less, to the community here. Late Night, thank you very much for that. That's going out to Barney Jack, to Rarely Asleep, to Noah Body, to Kujijitul, and to Sapensky. All 5 of you, if you are around, make sure you thank Late Night for that, because that's very, very generous. Cheers, my dude. So your player character is a Tenno or Stalker type situation. So player characters, you can have whatever adventures you want. The design of this is that warframes can be put into any campaign. There may be a few of them which you go, ooh, I don't know if that really fits the vibe or something. If you have a very land-based campaign, Hydroid might not be the choice. If you don't like curses, then you won't use Inaros. If you don't want guns, then you won't use Mesa. But aside from little caveats like that, all these warframes can just be dropped in. That's the idea. And I've been doing literally that with a playtesting group, and it's been going very well. Oh, yes, indeed. Very well. Is this homebrew? I mean, how could it not be homebrew? I'm literally on the screen where I create it myself. I am the maker of this. Entirely. Oh, yes, indeed. So, where was I on that topic? I think I bounced between 4 topics at once there. Right, yeah, the leveling system. So, Initiates, they're the really weak ones. Adepts are challenge rating 9 or thereabouts. They are much more powerful. They can be quite threatening to an entire township. You need a proper force to dispatch of them. The Masters, they are devastating. While an entire army will probably win out against them, the losses will be staggering. And that's assuming that the Warframe lets you kill them. If they decide to dip out, you might struggle to actually hold them down. They have the survivability to deal with what's being sent their way. They can be really nasty. And then you get to the primes. A prime warframe is the tippity top. All 4 abilities available. Those are the ones which we as Tenno in the warframe universe play as warframes. The primes are the full powered nasty. All 4 abilities. Any passive carryover, because some passives don't really carry over, but any passive carryover is there. Full access to their capabilities, stats to match. They are terrifying. Which is the entire idea. Prime sure-footed? Yep. Primes also have Prime sure-footed built into them. So the Prime Warframes, we just have a glimpse at Hildren here. Hildren works very weirdly, by the way. But Hildren Prime is immune to both the prone and restrained conditions because Hildren Prime has access to Prime sure-footed. That's how I put it in there. Can't be knocked prone, can't be restrained. That makes things a little bit more problematic. So yeah, primes are warframes as the actual threat. All the others below are literally nerfs to those warframes to allow players of lower level parties to actually face a warframe. Much like how if you face a dragon in D&D, you might go, oh yeah, we're facing a dragon at level 4, this is going to be amazing. And then you come across a dragon wormling. They are medium size, which is about the same size as, say, an orc or a humanoid. In general, they're not really large. They won't be more than about 7 feet in a longest dimension. Yeah, they can fly. They can belch out fire every few turns, maybe. If they're a red dragon, that is. They'll have a little bit of fire here or a little bit of electricity, and otherwise, all they can do is bite at you and snap at you and call you silly names. It's not really that threatening. But that's a dragon. And that is specifically scaled down so that lower level parties can face dragons. And the warframes I've done basically the same thing. Basically the same. Dragon Wormling is like an angry giant dog. An angry giant flying flamey dog, sure, who can also speak English and Draconic, and is intelligent. very intelligent, not just like dog intelligent, actually intelligent, unless it's white. The chromatic dragons, the white ones are really dumb for some reason, but you know, that's the design. But yeah, that's a thing. So with the Warframes, I've given them generally, not all of them, but generally low charisma. So it's to indicate their broken personality, as it were. How harrowing the ordeals they go through to become a Warframe really takes a toll on their presence of self. But the full power Warframes are still quite capable, and the more charisma focused ones that should have a charisma, oh, they still have it. Oh, they absolutely do. Penguin, thank you very much for the hydrate. Cheers. You get now really neat. You can use them for regular D&D or an actual Warframe type campaign. Absolutely, yeah. Completely. So yeah, you can use these as enemies. If you choose to have them as allies, be aware they're still spec to be enemies. So how that really balances out, that's up to you to figure out. I'm intentionally creating them as enemies which get killed, no less. At the end of the day, when it comes to D&D, unless your DM's being a dick to you, you should have a good chance of winning. Which sounds weird, facing a Warframe, but again, anything that's not a Prime is scaled down. And if you're facing a Prime and win, you're also capable of shooting God in the face. So, you know, can't complain to me at that point. That's the idea. So, let's get on adjusting now. Before I can actually create the Swamp Hydroid and the Crypt Inaros, I need to do some tweaks to the stats of the existing ones. Because as it stands, I'm currently in the beta pass. I managed to get it all the way up to Harrow today. So Harrow has gone through the beta pass. Hildren hasn't yet. And I'm going to have to skip over Hildren and do the beta pass adjustments on Hydroid. Like a Spectre Warframe? Again, if you wanted to have one there in a Spectre as an NPC, sure, why not? Again, yeah. And yeah, Cub's bringing up a good point, yeah. Because I'm creating these as monsters, Tenno aren't a thing. Straight up, not going to make it, not part of the document whatsoever. Because, as Cub points out, Tenno are child soldiers. Literally, heavily abused, indoctrinated child soldiers. It's one thing playing that character in Warframe and making them at least good enough of the guy that you're the one playing them, it's acceptable, and your enemies are terrible for shooting at you. It's another thing to have that as the enemy in D&D. To be like, hey players, I introduced some characters from this video game I like, let's have you beat them. By the way, surprise, you know those monsters you just fought? Yeah, they're actually children. You murdered children. Good for you. Yeah, I think a lot of people might be a bit pissed off about that reveal. Doesn't quite work the same when it's you just murdered children in biosuits or whatever you want to go for. So I've just done away from that aspect entirely. Warframes are just Warframes. Think Umbra. They are all Umbras. Exactly, Omen. Exactly. I'll look forward to it, Ray. So, I have my beta pass information here for Hydroid. So, stat changes. Hydroid doesn't need a huge amount of stat changes, but he does need a lot more strength. Because the strength that I set him up with is, well, not enough. It's not going to make a huge change to him, but he does need more strength. So the initiate needs to be 14, and then thereafter it's +2 per tier. What is Spectres actually? Spectres are effectively a duplicate, a fake duplicate of the original item. So the original character, it was invented by Parvos Granum with his Spectre particle technology. It's explained a bit in the quest, the Deadlock Protocol, and you can otherwise look into more details probably on the wiki. Because it kind of gets a bit wibbly-wobbly in my head, not gonna lie. Warframe lore is all a bit hard for me to follow at the best of times. But yeah, I just need to make the quick changes here to the base stats. Let's get that done. The bullet jump, that goes up to a 10 and 28. And the cutlass is using dexterity, so doesn't need to change. That's using dex, doesn't need to change. Cool. Physical holograms? Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably the best two-word description you can give them. Yeah. Let's go with that. Straight out of the holodeck. Senior Inspectors are way older than Deadlock Protocol, you spell retcon. Well, how they came into existence, retcon, potentially. Probably. Their functionality, likely not. But yeah. Okay, so that little bit of strength just need to go in there. The other thing is Tempest Barrage is an ongoing 1 minute thing, so I'm okay with leaving that one as is. But it means then that all Hydroid does generally with this is a little bit of shooties or cut the chopping. So Hydroid moves like water, disengage, bonus action. Sounds good to me. Bonus actions. Let me think. I was going to go Swift Escape, but that's too boring. No. Tidal Flow. Hydroid takes the disengage action. That's good enough for me. Just a little extra detail. Hydroid takes the disengage action, tidal flow. Given the whole water has the ability to flow, to pass around things, to kind of be hard to hold on to. That gives Hydroid a little bit more of a unique spin. I've been adding little details like that throughout the beta pass to improve the amount of things that Warframes can do to solidify their identity. So that's why Harrow's gained immunity to being blinded and also gained the reaction to hit teleporting creatures. It's why Hydroid is getting this bonus action here. Little bits like that to just enhance their position in the world a bit. Right. That is the basic Hydroid, and that is the Hydroid bracket Ocean.
The Canadian pokes.
Oh, it puts it onto another line. It'll have to do. Do I put Hydroid Ocean Initiate or Hydroid Initiate Ocean? That looks better, actually. That looks better. There we are. Andrew445, thank you very much for subscribing there. 20 months as well. We're getting a lot of big numbers in here today. I say a lot. That's 2 people, but still, that is huge numbers. All the same, a 30 and a 20. Andrew, thank you very much for continuing your support here and using one of the brand new emotes as well. Cheers, my dude. Right, yeah, that's the way to amend that. I'll amend the description for Hydroid later. That's just kind of a by-the-by thing. I'll do that one probably at the end of this whole document. So, Hydroid Adept Ocean. This one needs to go up from, what was it, 14 to 16 strength. There's a bit of a jump. Or 13 to 16, I should say. That increases the athletics to a +7. And that increases the bullet jump 3, 6, 12. And 16, 32. But it doesn't affect the weapons, and I need to add that bonus action in. Boop. Nice and easy. I have gotten, dare say, a little adept adding in some of these changes. Because this is the beta pass. It's not meant to have huge changes overall, but enough significant changes that I'm anchoring the actual design of the Warframe. And then it will go into the final adjustments here or there. So that strength save is a +9, the athletics is a +9. Ray said, I like the unintentional implication that the Warframes are also slightly influenced by their environments. More connected to, like, they have specializations. Because again, that's something that Warframe itself doesn't really give you. is a sense of location and purpose. So say, for example, if you've got Ember running through a very fiery mission, Ember doesn't feel any different to any other Warframe in terms of handling the fire. If anything, Ember is more vulnerable to the fire than many other Warframes, including Warframes which might thematically be weak to the fire. So I've made changes along that line to give her more of a place.
Be lurking a bit, but have my monthly clim lol.
Umbrelli, thank you very much for subscribing there at 11 months. I appreciate your monthly clem. Your monthly... The filter on this bot is so strict that it saw tithes, this perfectly ordinary word, tithes, and decided, oh, you were gonna say tit! And so took out the word entirely and replaced it with clem. I love it. Umbrelli, thank you very much. Oh, that's so daft. I could go in and fix it, but it creates funny moments I'm not going to fix. It's just so dumb. Right then, 4314 on you, and the horizontal 1836. What a bit of clarity, which a couple of people were confused about when it comes to the bullet jumping on Warframes. It doesn't increase the distance they can move on a turn. For the Hydroid Master here, it's not really too much of an issue either way. He's got speed 35 foot and bullet jump 36 foot. They're functionally the same number of spaces, 7 spaces. But say if he had a speed of 30 foot and a bullet jump of 36, that wouldn't allow him to move the extra space without dashing. It just means that if he does dash and then bullet jumps, he can go that extra distance. This is just the same rule as normal D&D. If someone has a strength score of 20, allowing them to jump 20 feet horizontally without a skill check, but they only have 15 feet of movement remaining, they can't jump 20 feet, they can only jump 15. If they try jumping a distance and run out of movement speed, they fall. That's how it works in D&D 5e. It may seem a bit weird, you can physically jump further than you can typically move on a turn, but that is just a game restriction. It's supposed to require the Warframes to have to spend some other resource to get that extra distance. Am I going to include an FAQ in the final release for things like this? Absolutely yes. I've been building up a document as well of terminology, bits and pieces that I'll need to have in a glossary of terms. A lot of it is terms, I'm going to be recreating the conditions terms, so things like restrained, blinded, charmed, so that those are, 1, close to hand, and 2, done in my terminology. And then I'm going to include the terminology for things which aren't otherwise generalised. For example, Ember has the unique condition ignited. Ember literally causes fire procs. No other Warframe can do that. Even Warframes which deal fire damage, it is only Ember. So that kind of thing also needs to be in there as a condition. And I really like the ignited condition. It can scale out a hand if not dealt with. It can really scale out a hand, and allows me to give her the World on Fire passive ability. Anyway, enough of that. I'm looking at Hydroid right now. So 18 strength, it's +4, that's done, that's done. These don't use that, and yeah, so we need to have the bonus action carried over. Again, a very simple bonus action, but again, the flow of water is what it achieves. And then we got the Hydroid Prime. Now, I'm not worried too much about layouts right now because all of this layout is going to change. This is a big old wall of text that is going to be completely overhauled in the final project. As I'm on the matter at the moment, let me just show you. Wisp Prime currently looks like this, which is... I mean, if you wanted to look at Wisp, if you went, oh, I've got this brand new document, I love Wisp, let me see, what's the strongest Wisp do? You flick through and you see this wall of text. I imagine that 90% of people, maybe more, at that point would go, what the hell is this nerd shit? And close the document, which is not very good. which is why the upgraded version would look a little bit more like this. This is the entire stat block for Wisp Prime, in how it's going to be in the more up-to-date version. And you might notice that there's a lot missing, apparently. So all of the spell features are gone. Every last bit of it. And instead, they are moved into the actions and bonus actions here. So you can see at a glance, she can cast Breach Surge once per short rest, Soul Gate once per short rest, Reservoirs twice per short rest, and Will-O-Wisp twice per short rest. You can see what she's casting, at what level she's casting, what action economy it uses, and the idea then is that at the end of the chapter, there would be the list of the spells for that warframe. And that's where you'll be able to reference them only a page or two away, rather than having to go right to the end of the book like in the player's handbook. But it means then that the actual stat block itself isn't this behemoth, which is a little intimidating to look at. This will be the longest kind of one they get to. And that is much more manageable. Much, much more manageable. So yeah, that's what we're looking at in terms of a redevelopment. But that is going to be once I've done the full beta pass, because I want to have the stats I'm working with and then move it over. So that's kind of a crucial detail. But yeah, that should... Oh, no, strength. Yeah, so the strength is going from 18, so it'll be 20, 17 to 20, plus 5, strength saving throw is therefore an 11, the athletics is also an 11, none of the others use strength. Bullet jump is going to be right the way up, that's gone to 24 vertical, 60 horizontal. This is what I say, when I say these are what the actual warframes are. The primes are true warframes. 24-foot vertical bullet jump. That is no run-up required, no ability check. It just jumps upwards that distance. 24 feet is... what's that in meters? 24 feet in meters. 7.3 meters straight up. Which is actually smaller than in Warframe. I think you get to about 10 or 12 meters off the ground, but I think that also starts at like 2 meters from your own height. So it's kind of hard to say exactly how much height it gives, but I think it's around the low double figure there. So this is less on Hydroid Prime, but that's still in D&D terms pretty damn terrifying. There are not many things that can just go up 24 feet without even beginning to try. And then it can double jump, which will give it another 5, 6, 7, 8, another 4 feet of clearance. And that's if it hadn't gone for the run-up, jump, bullet jump. If it did run-up, jump, bullet jump, it would instead be able to get a clearance of 32 feet off the ground. And Hydroid isn't exactly known for bullet jumping, so that shows you just how far some of these can go. So yeah, that's proper Warframe. And then the horizontal of 60 feet. Just, you're 60 feet away across a chasm. You look at a Hydroid nearly 20 meters away, yeah. Nearly 20 meters away, there is just a Hydroid, a Warframe stood there. That is 10 times the height of a tall character in distance away. Because, of course, 6 feet, 60 feet. And then with no warning, no run-up, no nothing, boom! It leaps across the entire chasm, right up in your face, and then starts throwing down all these spells. Yeah. That gets a lot of work done. Back springs are absurd, 32 meters. You mean backflips? I'll be honest, I don't actually remember just how far you go with those. Fair enough. But yeah, suffice to say, that shows why they can actually go quite the distance. It's limited within D&D terms, but otherwise still very effective. Okay, I think that strength is all that needed to be changed on that. Let me check my stat sheet. Yep, that is all good. Right then, so let's create the variants. Oh, I didn't put Ocean on the Prime. There we are. Cute. Back spring because you spring off your hands. You know what? That's valid. Yeah, fair do. Fair do, Squirbo. I'll take that. Cool. Alright then. You know what? I'm just going to create these in line with each other. Why not? So if I go dup 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 dup, and then pop this here. I did something wrong apparently. I don't need that. Okay, apparently the stab block is long enough. I don't need that. There we go. So let's do the Hydroid Initiate Swamp version. So the reason I'm going for Ocean and Swamp is rather than go old and new, pre-rework, post-rework, that's not going to matter. Anyone who is new to Warframe from the point that Hydroid is reworked will not give a shit which one was first and which one was last. In a D&D setting, it matters about their identity, and that's why I'm splitting them Ocean and Swamp. Ocean has the puddle feature and has more of a bludgeoning focus. Swamp has the corrosive focus, which in this case is going to be acid. So, those are the changes I need to kind of focus on to. And with Ocean's Gift, that's just Swamp's Gift. Yeah, I feel like I should change it from gift to some other word. Swampborn? Swamp. Swamp Affinity. I think Swamp Affinity works. Yeah, just so it's not quite so copy paste over from one to the other. Swamp Affinity works towards it. Swamp's Decay, but it's not a decaying thing, Ray. That's nothing to do with what the feature is. Hydroid is able to breathe both air and water, and is unaffected by difficult terrain caused by water. Hydroid has advantage on saving throws caused by water-related effects. That's got nothing to do with decay. The only thing to do with decay is swamp. Yeah. You love the new stack modes? They are quite nice, aren't they? And how do they do, Debbie Doop? Right, okay, Tempest Barrage. Tempest Barrage. If I give it the same name, I can't change the features. You think of the Warframe passive? Right, yeah. I'm not going down that road. Just because I didn't do it with the Initiate. What's Tempest's original name? It's Viral Tempest. And I could do that, and instead of going for Acid, I can give it Necrotic on the damage, which for a Swamp still kind of works. You know what, let's do that. Viral Tempest. Hydroid Curse is an area it can see within 100 feet, creating a torrential storm of... So creating a torrential storm of putrid rain. Now I wanted to make some functional changes. They were a different identity. So the circle radius 20 feet rather than 15 becomes difficult terrain from the downpour. Non-friendly creatures, that, and I'm going to remove in the area when it appears. Enter the area on their turn. So non-friendly creatures that start their turn in the area or enter it for the first time on a turn. Let's put commas there. There we go.
Yo guys, let's go 100k poke snack. Also new emotes, the can 18 snack pat, the can 18 can pat, the can 18 poke snack.
I really don't like the Ken 18 on that, but all the same, the almighty Queen River, thank you very much for resubscribing with your Prime there. 16 months of support. Queen, thank you very, very much for continuing your support over here. And yes, indeed, 100k on YouTube. Kind of crazy, honestly. Like, and y'all got anything better to do? Here we are. So, yeah, Tempest Marriage, which is the ocean one. When the area appears, when they enter on their turn, or if they end their turn in the area, they need to make the dex save. Whereas for the Viral Tempest is when you start your turn there, or enter it for the first time on a turn. So it's a change of mechanics there to give it a little bit different identity. And I've given it a bit more range. And then I'm going to decrease the damage just a little bit because it's becoming elemental rather than physical. So I'm going to bring it down from 7 damage to 5. Just a little bit of a reduction. Yeah. And then that ability is able to just kind of continuously do damage over time for anything that dares to be in the area. So Hydroid can very much create a zone of screw you with that, which is very nice. It only needs to have 1 cast of that, I think. Let me think. Yeah, because if I give it a second cast, it can shut down a lot of area, whereas certainly in smaller encounters, that can become a problem. Queen, I've already decided what you'll be fighting. Already decided. You can thank Ray for tomorrow. Right. Aside from that, then, Tidal Flow should be a different name because it's not Tidal, it's something Swamp. Two casts might be necessary in case he doesn't kill fast. It lasts for a minute. That's 10 rounds. It's going to be raining for a long time. If he's not dead in 10 rounds, if everyone gets to take 10 turns, that means you've been dealing an average of less than 6 damage or less per round. Considering that hitting with a normal D8 weapon, D8 plus 2, will be an average of 6.5 damage. 10 of those attacks that hit should kill him. Yeah. Queen, I already said. Ray has given the inspiration for what you're dealing with tomorrow. You're going to just have to deal with it. Alright, tidal flow. We have something to do with a creek. Not creek, no. Murky flow? I can't, but that just... Going from tidal flow to murky flow doesn't quite land the same way for me. Tidal has a kind of inevitability on a large scale to it. The inevitability of just, you can't stop the tides. When the tides decide to go out, they go out. And so too Hydroid, when it decides to go out, goes out. He disengages. How does one do that in a swamp? What is so unstoppable about a swamp? What allows a swamp to... That's part of the problem, is that swamps are stagnant. Swamps don't move. That's the whole problem with swamps. They bog down. I might give him a different bonus action entirely, to be honest. Lunar Swells follow Lunar Cycle? Eh. Let's think. Bonus action, something you can do. Thought maybe like knocking someone prone, but as a bonus action, that's too much, quite honestly, for this setup, given how much he can already do. And there's knocking prone and viral tempest anyway. I'm really stuck on this one, not gonna lie, I'm really stuck on this one. Something swampy, something not overpowerful, something you can do as a bonus action rather than disengage, because that's the ocean. I'm not sure why you're saying disengage with that idea, Ray, because disengage is an actual mechanic. Yeah. I don't want damage, because damage just kind of adds on to damage, onto damage, onto damage. It's easy for that to escalate beyond intended measure. I'm really stuck onto this. Blended watery terrain, I hide it to the bonus action instead. I wouldn't have considered a Hydroid a hiding character, to be honest. Doesn't strike me as a hiding one. For that matter, I might even switch his strength and dexterity around for the swamp version. Hydro looks like a ghillie suit. Yeah, alright. Let's do that then. I'll drop the athletics skill for a stealth skill and go bonus action to hide instead. Yeah, we can do that. Oh, you want some vocal rock, do you? Alright, we can do that. Why am I being pinged? Alright. There we go. That's starting up. Wonderful. Alright. Yeah, so if I drop on the athletics, and we instead go stealth, and that is a +5. Keep the nature, fitting in with the natural world connection there. And we got something murky, let's go. Murky. It's like a murky visage, but that's too dramatic. Don't want to use the word ghillie. Too modern for the impression on ghillie suit. Don't want to go for the rhyme of lurking murk. Vestige? Vestige? I have to look at that word. A trace or remnants of something that is disappearing or no longer exists. Part of an organ or organism which become reduced or functionless in the course of evolution. I don't know if that really fits. What if you place a slow type effect on the enemy for brackish something? The slowing is part of Viral Tempest. It creates difficult terrain, so he already does that there. He already has that. However, I could just go with Murky Escape, can't I? Murky Escape. That works. Hydroid takes the hide action. Do I give it a treat? Has advantage to hide in swampy terrain? Yeah. There we go. Murky Escape. Hydroid takes the hide action. It has advantage to hide in swampy terrain. Yeah. That gives it enough. Also, I wanted to remove the reloads a new bolts part of this action bit from these pistol crossbows. It doesn't need to be there. It's implied in the fact that he has multi-attack. So those can just go. Bop, 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 bop. And in there actually turns into Desire hand cannon, so that is fine. Right. Hit points don't need to change, armor class doesn't need to change, speed, swim, all of those other stats are all fine to stay as is. So yeah, they can just maintain their position, and that gives us a different Hydroid, yeah. It's not overly changed, it's just different enough that it is the swamp one, and gives us the core theme, the core element to move from in making the other changes. Because Tempest Barrage is the smallest of them. No, I tell a lie, second smallest. Tidal Surge is the absolute smallest. That's going to need a different name. Tidal Surge. Well, Ray mentioned about Tidal Swell. Let me just double check if that's the correct... Bog Rush. Oh, there's only a few people who got to understand that one. I can't do that. Oh. So, to fill in anyone watching who has no idea why I've just burst out laughing, one of the playtesting characters in Wolf Squad is literally called Bog Rush. They are a barbarian that rushes in and smacks everything on the head, yeah. I'm gonna need their permission on that one, because it's literally their character's name in the playtest. I would need their permission to do that. And I don't think they're around right now, so we'll put a pin in that. It's funny, but I don't think it's a direction we should be going. Despite it being funny. No, what I wanted to check was that Tidal Swell as a thing. Swell is the pulse to shot across water from a low pressure system. What? No, that's not. Yeah, that's not really coming up with anything specifically swampy there, Ray. So I'm not sure what you're ringing up there. But I can just literally change it from Tidal Surge to Swamp Surge. Like, there is no problem with it just being renamed in that regard. Bog was also sang for toilet. I'm aware, yeah. So if we get the ocean one here. Page, copy it down, Hydroid, Adept, Swamp. The Tempest Barrage, we need to instead copy over the updated details, so it's Swamp Affinity, not Ocean's Gift. Tempest Barrage is Viral Tempest. Need to copy that as is and then update the value on it. Let's see, that's currently set to 3d6 DC14. So DC14 and 3d4. Which make that 7. They are. And then Tidal Surge, I said, is going to be Swamp Surge. Hydroid transforms into a large wave of water up to 10 feet wide and 10 feet tall. The wave crashes forward up to 45 feet, slamming through creatures and unsecured objects. Each non-friendly creature and unsecured object in its path must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes some amount of damage. All is bludgeoning. It's picked up by the wave and dropped prone in the nearest unoccupied space to where the wave finishes. On a successful save, the target takes half damage only. When the wave finishes, Hydroid reforms where the wave stopped. Yeah. Doesn't need any further change on that. Tidal Surge is Swamp Surge. I, in the end, didn't go for any additional cast of Tempest Barrage. Oh yeah, that needs to be named. Whoopsie. Viral Tempest. Yep. It does feel weird giving it only one. Oh, he doesn't have a lot going for him. Let's give him 2 casts of the Tempest. How bad can it be? How bad can it be? If I do that... A little bit of this is, you know, kind of seat of the pants, inventing things and throwing it together. That's how you do a lot of creation. Throw it at the wall, see what sticks. And you know what? That's sticking in my head, so I'm going to do it. There we are. Right. Hydroid, Adept, Swamp. We've got the Swamp Affinity, Viral Tempest, Swamp Surge, and bits are named there. That's good. The bonus action Tidal Flow is actually supposed to be Murky Escape. There we go. And the skills, it's got Athletics, Nature, Perception. Athletics, Nature, Stealth. Right, so I need to give it... instead of Athletics, it's Stealth on the Swamp one. Yeah. Stealth will be Dex 4, Proficiency 4, plus 8. Cool. Yeah, that's good. There we are. We're already on to the Adept Swamp one. That is good. Next one then is going to have the replaced Undertow with Plunder. So we're going to have basically an entirely new thing there. And because of that, I might as well copy this as is and reference the stats across. Is that the... Tell you what. Do this smartly. If I copy this down to the end of the generic stuff, so we've got the master, start of the master block, and that is Swamp, and then from the Swamp one, it's after the bullet jump, all the details therein. There we go. And now I just need to amend any details in there. So, stat-wise, the athletics needs to... And I'll give an extra skill. Ocean has athletics, nature, perception. Ocean, Athletics, Native Perception. Ah, I didn't give an extra skill. Okay. That's fine. It's not actually important. So, whatever. That stealth is going to be a +10. That is nasty. Bullet Jump's already set. Spell save DC is going to be 3 + 5 for 8 + 8, 16. What did I change it from? Yep, that's fine. DC 16, DC 16, there we go. In the Ocean one, the spell level Tempest Barrage goes up to 4th. Tidal Surge goes up to 6th. Which is an increase in both of them. Let's see, what did I do there? 3d6, 5d10 becomes 4d6, 6d10, so it's just 1 damage die each. And Wave Crash is 10, 10, 45. 10, 10, 45. Yeah, it's just the damage die. Oh, thank goodness for that. That's nice and easy. That is very, very easy to implement. I appreciate past me. So that is 44 on this, which brings that up to 10. And this becomes a 60-10, which makes this 33. This becomes 4th level. And this becomes 6th level. There we go so far. Right then. Plunder. Now I'm making a brand new spell. This has to be an action. There is no way it couldn't be. I'm not going to give it a duration. So I had to think about this, and I decided I want to make this nasty. Not just a little bit nasty, I want to make this nasty, nasty. As in, DM, are you trying to get us killed nasty? And the answer should be yes. It's a Warframe. What do you expect? 80 reduction is a must? Oh, yes, indeed. So, Hydroid. Hydroid casts out a corroding wave of. Casts out a wave of corroding droplets. Sharing all non-friendly creatures within, let's say, let's keep it short range, shortish, 60 feet. Water flows, but water doesn't reach particularly high up. Wide cone? Nope. I'm going to make this spherical, so just within 60 feet. Nice and simple. Just to keep it nice and terrifying. I know it's a cone in normal Warframe, but nah. Go full range on this. Hey, Esprit! Funny anecdote from today. I'm doing some landscaping on my parents' yard, building a fire pit, and in the pit there's a stump I'm trying to move. Most of the stump is pretty rotten. As I plunge my shovel in and try to pry, I managed to find one sturdy spot and broke my parents' shovel. Fun stuff. How are you? Wow, that is fun. Yes. Fun. Wave of droplets, bit of oxymoron. Yeah, it should be a shower. Shower of corroding droplets, covering. Actually, I'm not even going to go with droplets. You know what? I'm just going to rephrase that. I'll rethink it. I'll rethink the phrasing on that one. Esprit, first things first. Your character got recommended just moments ago in the D&D project here. Someone suggested that Tidal Surge for the Swamp Hydroid be renamed to Bog Rush. I'm going to pass on that one, but it's surprisingly very, very fitting. Sorry, I don't see 60 feet short. I mean, this is the master level, so challenge 14. Players can move pretty decent distances at that level. So 60 feet there is comparatively short. For comparison, a longbow has a maximum range of 600 feet. Firebolt has a range of 120 with no bonuses. That's level 1. Monks by this level can just sprint forever, basically. 60 feet is actually a bit of a... It's the end of short range. Start of medium. Now, it's only 20 meters. It's not even 20 meters. It's 18 meters. That's not that far. Maya Drift. We'll hold on to that. We'll hold on to that, Stolen Raider. So, let's go full curse. In fact, I'm going to grab that Maya right now. Let me just check I'm using this in the right context. Pause. Comes to... Yeah. It's not quite the right word, but I like the sound of it, so I'm going to say mired. Myers. Hydroid sows a curse around it, causing the armor of its foes to become mired. It's not quite the right word, you know, mired, stuck in mud, but it's close enough. Non-friendly creatures within 60 feet of Hydroid must make a charisma saving throw. DC 16. Curse is a charisma. Alright, you take care, Derpy Doop. Have a good one. On a failed saving throw, each creature becomes unable to benefit from any armor until it completes a short rest or the curse is removed. There is a spell called Remove Curse, so pack that one if you're fighting a Hydroid. Then, that's not the end of it. For each target that fails the saving throw, Hydroid's AC increases by 1. Will I put a max on that? I should put a max on that. To a maximum of +5 from this spell. 5 is a hell of a lot. +5 AC is huge. But 5 is a fair limit. And this brings up the same idea. What needs a max summons or other stuff shows up? Yeah, that's a very good point. If someone summons like 5 creatures alongside everyone else, but then they all fail the same because they're summoned creatures, yeah, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Max 5. For each target that fails saving throw, Hydroid's AC increases by 1 to a maximum +5. And let's see. Yeah. For each target that fails the saving throw, Hydroid's AC increases by 1. And it deals 1d4. Sorry, I should say. And it deals 2 brackets 1d4 additional acid damage with its weapon attacks. To a maximum of +5 and +5d4 respectively from this spell. AC can't block spells. Can't block saving throws. Firebolt. Scorching Ray. Other attack-based spells. But yeah. With that there, that is a huge potential of damage. Like, I cannot overstate just how much of an increase that can be. To increase his weapon attacks by 5d4, that is an average of 12.5 damage. When his weapon attacks currently deal an average of 7.5. So 12.5 is a huge increase. That more than doubles his potential damage. Whilst also removing the armor from the targets. Paladin suddenly naked. Now here's the thing. It's a charisma saving throw. If your paladin fails a charisma saving throw, fire your paladin, get a new one. If your paladin facing a challenge 14 enemy fails their charisma saving throw, get a new paladin. Because that paladin should have already a +5 in charisma, maybe a +4 we'd allow, but 4 or 5. And then they're going to apply their charisma to their saves again because of the aura paladins. And I think they have proficiency in it. So your paladin should be on, what? Probably anywhere from 12 to 15. Fighter totally naked. Fighter's going to have his dexterity. If it's a strength fighter, then yeah, they're screwed. But a fighter otherwise should have their dexterity. Also, that paladin buff saves into AoE. It's not just one specific subclass. It's all paladins on. Level 6, it just comes online. Yeah. And then at later level, it extends from 10 feet to 30 feet. I think that might be level 14, but I can't quite remember on that. It's a high level it extends range. But suffice to say, if your paladin fails a charisma save, they done goofed. Some way, somehow, somewhere along the line, something went wrong. But for your other, certainly heavy armor attackers, they're screaming at this one. Alright, Esprit, you have a good one. Yeah. Your fighters especially are looking at this like, no, okay, that's not good. Barbarians are laughing until you remind them that shields are also part of it. Like, oh, that was the one bit of armor I'm allowed to have. Nope. Why is it a charisma throw? Because it's a curse. Hydroid sews a curse around it. Because I'm specifically deigning it a curse, that's why it's charisma save. And it's because charisma saves don't get used enough. So the theme here is curse because Inaros also curses. I'm kind of tying the two together a little bit there, but mostly go for the curse aspect of it. If I went for a strength save against corroding watery stuff, doesn't really make sense. Dexterity save, everything's a dexterity save. A shower of water is a dexterity save to melt your armor, which is also then still going to hit the heavy armored guys anyway. Yeah. And that actually then affects paladins even worse. Constitution save, corroded armor, that's not right. Intelligence save, nope, that's not right. Wisdom save, nope, that's not right. But charisma, because curses work. Curse, you cannot get the benefits of armor. Whatever benefits you could have had, gone. Yeah. Or protection extends at level 18. Bloody hell. I remembered it was high level. I didn't realise it was that high level. Fair enough. So, the curse ends early if Hydroid is killed. Just to make an extra bit of clarity for DMs there. Hydroid can't just cast it on the group, YOLO into the next life by being murdered, and then the group have to suffer that for the entire time until they get a short rest. That makes it very clear, if they kill him, it'll all go away. There is a little bit of a reset of factor there. It's only whilst he's on the field he is a threat, which then makes him an even bigger target. So, just that little extra feature. Kind of necessary. But yeah, otherwise, I had the notes here, so Charisma Curse. I did make a note that I could make it disadvantage on the saving throw if the enemy has taken damage from Hydroid, to go in with his passive of applying corrosive procs and then plundering that. But I'm not going to go with that. Just because of how devastating this is, and the fact that it improves his damage so much, I'm not going to go with that. Hydroid plan for grid fight, plunder then hide, let his extras deal with you. Oh yeah. Absolutely. And in fact, Hydroid can get reasonably close with that 60 feet without having to get into total melee range, plunder, and then leave. Hide as a bonus action. Absolutely. So yeah, got the curse, cannot get the benefit of equipped armor until next short rest or until curse is removed. For each affected target, Hydroid's AC increased by 1 and deals 1d4 extra acid damage on attacks. Corrosive damage. Curse is lifted if Hydroid dies. Yep, that's the whole thing. So, how high level is that? I put Undertow at 6th level. Is this a 6th level spell? I think it is, honestly. I don't think it goes to 7th level. As much as it's a huge drop in AC, it's a one and done thing. It's quite removable. And only gives 5d4 maximum damage bonus, granted per attack, which is going to scale nicely. But he only gets 2 attacks. And then there's actions, so he'll be on follow-up turns. Yeah. And that's max 5d4 anyway. Yeah, it's a 6th level spell. So that is Plunder bracket 6th level. Yeah. Right. So that gives us our Hydroid Master Swamp. Beautiful. Absolutely terrifying in all the correct ways. Love it, love it, love it. Definitely don't want to face it. Do I change up the saving throw? Because currently it's strength dex, just like the ocean one. Starting with dex, just like the ocean one. I could make it, instead of strength, make it charisma focused. Because strength is a weaker save, charisma is a weaker save, so I could give it that one there, balancing its stats rather than hard focusing the strength there. Again, to add to the more hag style approach of this Hydroid. Again, the curse, the decay, the hiding, the swamp affinity, rather than great beast of the deep. Yeah, I think I do that. I think that's the right thing to do. So let's do it. Strength save is out. Charisma save of a +4. It's not amazing, but it's better than -1. Is in. Actually, is it meant to be -1? I think it is. Yes, but the charisma should be a 9. Or 10. Don't want to make any further change on that. These are the little details that one considers extensively. Yes. Tell you what. 10 charisma on this one specifically. No, yeah, just 10 charisma. Give it an extra point in the charisma. Charisma save goes to +5. Yeah, and I'm not going to take anything away from it in the process. I'm just going to give it that. That seems good enough to me. It gets an extra little bonus there, but not a huge amount of it. That's fine. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Okay, this brings us on to Le Prime, for which I'm going to need to copy the top of the stat block only. There we go. And then we grab the master one all the way up to the bullet jump. Boop. Beautiful. We need to update the details that I've added into the bullet jump will be automatically correct, but the rest of it now will not be. Not going to sneeze. There we are. Okay. The spell save DC, that is a 4, 6, 18. Let's update all the numbers on that. So this is an 18. This is an 18. Plunder is an 18. There we go. Let's see. Hydroid Prime uses Tempest Barrage level 4. No change to Viral Tempest. Tidal Surge level 6. Swarm Surge level 6. Cool. Undertow. Plunder I'm not going to change anyway, so that's fine. And then we have Tentacle Swarm. Cool. Also, I needed to give that an extra use of Tempest Barrage. So I need to go back and do that. Let's grab you. There we are. And then the Prime one. There we go. Right then. That's good. And then it's got the rest of the details here, so that is fine. No upgrade on the levels and all that lot. So that's very easy so far. The charisma stat should now be a 12 for a +1 there. And instead of the strength +11, it is charisma +7. There we go. And it was athletics I took out. Yeah, nature perception stealth, nature perception, acrobatic stealth, yeah. Stealth is a +12. Oh, good god. What to do with the upcast of plunder? Increase the max? No upcast. In some cases, I'm just not adding an upcast to them, which allows me to put more power into their ultimate ability. So, no upcast on that one. It's just what it is. And it means then that Tentacle Swarm can exist. Tentacle Swarm. Hydroid conjures 6 tentacles of living water, each 15 feet long and 3 feet wide at the base. Each tentacle appears in an unoccupied space of Hydroid's choosing within 120 feet. The tentacles each have AC 15, hit points 45, share Hydroid's bonuses to saving throws, and are immune to fire, poison, acid, and psychic damage. The tentacles act independently of Hydroid at the end of Hydroid's turn. Each tentacle will attempt to attack the nearest non-friendly creature within 15 feet, plus 10 to hit. On hit, the target is restrained by the tentacle. If the tentacle is on land, it will lift the creature 15 feet into the air. If the tentacle is in sufficiently deep water, it will plunge the creature into the water to try to drown it. If a tentacle already has a creature restrained, it will instead attempt to crush the creature, plus 10 to hit, dealing 21, that is 6d6, bludgeoning damage on a hit. A restrained creature can attempt to break free on their turn as an action with a strength athletics check or dexterity acrobatics check, DC 18. The creature will be automatically released when the spell ends or if a tentacle is reduced to 0 hit points. While the spell is active, Hydroid may use an action to move any number of tentacles that are not restraining creatures to different unoccupied spaces within 120 feet. I think that's pretty clear. I think that's pretty clear in terms of what it can do, and that means that 6 tentacles, 6 potential party members, if it grabs all of them, the next turn, that is 6 lots of 66 damage that turn, and every turn for the entire minute that it runs. Maximum total... I say maximum. Average maximum. If every tentacle hits and then continues hitting turn after turn, that is 9 turns of 6 tentacles of 21 average damage each, 1,134 damage in 10 rounds from one spell. Yeah, I think that gets a bit of work done. I think that should be enough to make players go, oh, we've fucked up, haven't we? We've really fucked up. Okay, we're going to die. And if they start thinking that, I've done my job. Oh, yes, indeed. If they start thinking that, I have done my job. Now, I don't want the players to be murdered by everything they come across. You know, they should have plenty of means and ways to resist a +10 to hit. But it's still going to be a threat. If you are a wizard struggling along with a +2 to dex and your mage armor thinking 15 AC is going to cut it. It rolled a 5 to hit. It hits. You die. Yeah. This one is meaner on the swamp variant with the armor strip. Oh, yes. That is a very good point. Yes. Plunder, then Tentacle Swarm. Yep, that's not good news, is it? To compare, Undertow on Ocean Hydroid. Hydroid transforms into living water with all its gear melding into the water form. For the duration, Hydroid becomes immune to all non-magical piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing damage. Immune. Hydroid retains its senses, statistics, and void powers, but cannot use its equipment. While in this form, Hydroid can forcibly flow as freely as walking or swimming, may pass through a gap as small as 1 inch, and may spread into a pool of area 300 square feet, such as a circle with radius 10 feet, and a thickness of 1 inch. Is that math correct? Pi r squared, pi times r squared. 314 feet. Yeah, that's close enough. As far as circles go, that's close enough. I think it sounds more terrifying than it is. At first there, you say, 300 square feet? How does that interact with shape water? It's living water, it's a watery form. Shape water shouldn't affect it because it's not pure water, it's not actual water. Unless you can use shape water on water weirds and every water elemental ever, which I don't think you can. It would just resist it with ease. This form is visually indistinguishable from ordinary water, making Hydroid effectively invisible in sufficiently large pools of water. It continues. As an action in this form, Hydroid may extend a stream of living water to restrain a creature that's in contact with. The target creature must make a strength saving throw, DC 18. On a failure, the creature becomes restrained. The creature may re-attempt this saving throw at the end of each of its turns. Hydroid may have any number of creatures restrained in this manner. If a creature is no longer in contact with Hydroid's water form, the restraint immediately ends. While in this form, Hydroid recovers 10 hit points at the end of its turns. Friendly creatures in contact with Hydroid also regain 10 hit points at the end of their turn. Maybe it should be cubic feet. So I went for the square feet for how far out it can spread. That's the maximum extent. It doesn't need a cubic amount to that. It goes to a tiny thickness, but it's just about the width of it. And then, otherwise, it's medium-sized creature, cool, flowing water thing. If I recall correctly, 300 square feet and 1 inch thickness isn't actually the correct volume anyway. Let me think. 1 inch is 1/12 of a foot, so it'll be 300 divided by 12 for 25 cubic feet. If I'm doing my math correctly there. How many cubic feet is a person? How many cubic feet is a person? The average person's body occupies 1.76 cubic feet of volume. Is what Google's just tried telling me. Have I done my math on this right? That sounds odd. 20 feet wide circle would be 3 people's heights. Closer to 4 if you're dealing with short people. So it's a decently wide circle. Like 20 feet across would be about 3 meters. No, wait, no. 3 meters is 10. Yeah, 20 meters across would be around about 6 meters wide. So a 6 meter wide circle and 2.5 centimeters deep. That'll be 20 meters. What's it? Yeah, 6 meters wide, which is 20 feet wide. Whatever. No, I've definitely done something wrong with my cubic math. No, yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of water. Cool. Magic. That's what it is, magic. So yeah, if I went for cubic feet to get to a circle of radius 10 foot, the thickness at that point would be less than an inch. The thickness would be... yeah, the thickness would probably have to come down to 0.5 centimeter of water, which is just not going to cut it. So, thickness of an inch, that's 2.5 centimeters, well over the volume of a medium-sized creature. It's magic. Magic is allowed, but say you can squeeze as much as an inch, so his minimum dimension in one direction is an inch. And then the most he can spread out as a result is a 300 square foot area. I think that is suitable for allowing someone to set up an interesting and dangerous character without getting too bogged down in the mathematics. 300 square feet, I think, handles. So I'm going to leave that there. But yeah, the point is that Undertow, he becomes immune to non-magical physical damage. This is in addition to his damage resistance to fire. He becomes invisible in water. He becomes able to restrain people with his watery tentacle grasp. I should probably put grappled and restrained, because grappled allows him to drag them as well. Oh yeah, let's do that. That is a necessary addition. All the grapple does is makes it clear that they can be dragged. Yeah, that is really, really important. Let me put this in here as well. Becomes grappled and restrained. There we are. Okay, cool. Well, that's nice and dangerous. So yeah, it provides resistance, it provides invisibility, it provides healing, it provides grappling. Whereas you compare that to the Swamp version, we've got Plunder, doesn't provide healing, doesn't provide stealth, ironically given this is the one that can hide. Instead, it sunders the armor of its enemies and increases his damage output. So it takes a very different approach there, but I think that different approach just works for keeping in theme with the new Hydroid. All the details therein. So, where's the stat block? Yeah. I think then for the Tentacle Swarm, I could just keep that one as is. Did I make any notes on that? Unchanged by version needs... Oh. Apparently past me suggested increasing the duration of the Tentacle Swarm on both versions of Hydroid from 1 minute to 10 minutes. 10 times as long. Yeah, fuck it. If you can't kill Hydroid in 1 minute, you're not going to kill him in 10 minutes, but it adds to the thematic 10-minute murder spree, because a Kraken shouldn't last for just a minute. Hello, Mythic. How you doing? Welcome on in. There we are. So we'll just take that as is otherwise and pop that onto the end of here. Beep. And then the Prime has one use Tempest, sorry, 2 of Tempest, 1 of the rest. We'll do the same here. That is considered an 8th level spell. That is happy with me. Tentacle Swarm, 8th level. Boom. And with that, we have the Hydroid Prime Swamp variant. No, we don't. I haven't done something else. Resistances. This one shall be cold and acid. Oh, that should be acid cold. And the other one should be cold fire. Because he's watery. Water can resist both of that. You tried freezing an ocean? Don't really work. You tried burning an ocean? Don't really work. Kind of hard to do that. And then in the swamp, you tried burning a swamp? That might work. But you tried freezing a swamp? Yeah, it kind of shrugs it off. There's a load of matter and gunkiness in there. It's just going to look sludgy all the same. And the acid, well, yeah, it's a very corrosive place already. It doesn't really care. It is acidic, I think. Are swamps acidic? The weirdest thing I've googled in a while. Both acidic and alkaline swamps are scattered throughout national lakes. Oh, okay. It can be both. Although alkaline are more common. Fair enough. A bog is when it's acidic, and a fen is when it's alkaline, says Reddit. Right. I am learning that. Okay. Greek fire would argue otherwise, but they disappeared into another dimension. Yeah. Who knows what that really was, Ray? Who knows? That one, the details are at this point just apocryphal, really. I'm not sure that's the right word, but there we are. But yeah, I think the acid focus on the swamp one, swamp, bog. I think swamp has a better sound to it than bog. So I'm going to go with swamp as the name. In saying, can't we? You were talking about the effects of the elements rather than the actual application of them. Like, have you tried boiling off a swamp? I mean, swamps have been drained, whereas an ocean hasn't. But there's not a damage type for that. So yeah, I don't know which direction we can really take that. I think just for giving a little bit of variety, going acid cold and fire cold, or heat cold, whatever, yeah, fire cold. Just, again, a little distinction. It's good enough for me. Rain or shine, summer or winter, the oceans are the oceans. Whereas a swamp, it's always going to be cold, and it's always going to be putrid. And we're going for the acid rather than poison on that because, heck it, why not? I could throw poison in there as well, but I think at that point it's too much. I could go acid poison rather than any cold at all. Now I think about it. I open that to you guys. Should Hydroid Prime Swamp be resistant to acid cold or acid poison? Which do you think would be the better fit for him? Necrotic, I'm not going to go there. Necrotic is in a number of other places. Necrotic is much more right down the depths of darkness. Yeah, poison does seem the more appropriate choice here, doesn't it? And yes, I know I've got Necrotic on the Viral Tempest, but that's because I'm going Viral Tempest. It had to be. Right, so I live in an area where our swamps can freeze. Yeah. Alright. Acid poison it is. Sorry, Moon. You slightly outvoted there. Acid poison. Ew. That is a dangerous Warframe right there. Also, still 270 hit points. 19 armor class can increase it to 24. That's, yikes. What, does anything else have, does anything have the natural AC of 24 in my entire document? Let me just have a quick glance. If anything, it's going to be something like Hydroid, Grendel maybe? Inaros? Probably not Inaros. I hope not Inaros. We'll see in a moment, but let's see. Lavos gets to 22. Grendel, 21. Lavos Bios for the win. Yeah, Citrine only gets to 20. Baruk gets to 20. 23 for Atlas. Yeah, no. 24 isn't heard of. That's insane. Oh dear. Alright. That's a problem for players to deal with. Right, Hydroid is constructed. I can mark off on my sheet of Warframes to complete that this one is completed. There we go. So, now we need to do Inaros. And look at the good timing on that. That's actually halfway through the stream and one of the two Warframes adjusted. Actually on track on a D&D stream for once. This is really, really rare for me. Not gonna lie. Really rare. So why Crypt versus Tomb? I'm very glad you asked on that, Ray. So I was thinking on what kind of names that could be given to him which still fits his theme in both cases, similar to how Hydroid. In my imagining of Hydroid in the original one, I went for a very ocean-heavy theme, but the new one had a corrosive element which didn't fit oceans as much. With Inaros, it's still going to be the sand mummy dude. However, we're losing Devour, which is very sand mummy. Devours your soul, that's right the way up there. So that's Tomb. Something that comes out of a tomb and is the threat itself. In a crypt to me indicates a larger thing. A thing where there's more than one individual buried. And that is where the sand cavats come in. It's just picking a word which fits thematically close enough while still giving you the slightest of ideas to split between. So the Crypt versus Tomb is the singular Tomb of Inaros versus the Crypt of Inaros and the Sand Cavats. I don't recall having... Yeah, no, there was no stat block created for sand shadows, as it were. Or sand creatures. I just didn't do that. So, the Sand Cavats are going to need an entire separate stat block to go down that road. Because with the split up of Scarab Swarm, that's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. So, I hope that makes sense. Before I do any of that, let's make sure that the Inaros stat block is fully up to date. There are quite a number of changes I have listed for him here, especially the Initiate. The Initiate was found to be lacking in various stats. Basically, if you did point by with these stats, you'd wonder why I gave him such terrible numbers. Other way around, Ray. The Pharaoh's Tomb versus the Crypt of the Dead. So Tomb for the singular Inaros without sand shadows, Crypt The Inaros with kitties. That's where I'm going with that. I'm going to change up the music. It's been a while we've had the rock one going. It's been an hour. Ugh. Yeah, let's cycle that around. There we are. That's much easier on the ears. Right, I need to make some stat changes. So, the Inaros Initiate, I decided that his strength was too low, and so needs a little bit more. I decided that his intelligence was too low, but not too low, it just needs a token 13. And his charisma could do have gone up 1. 6. Makes that -2 instead. As a result of that, the strength has gone up, so the bullet jump has increased to a 12-foot vertical and a 32-foot horizontal. The intelligence hasn't actually changed anything mechanical, and the charisma hasn't changed anything mechanical. Strength on the attack here, melee or ranged. It's melee, so that's gone 4 to 5, and the damage has gone up to 5 on that as well. Heavy crossbow has not changed, and we still got the bonus action of Swift Strike with a second attack with the dagger, so that's all good. Yep. Distinction is the same in French for obvious reasons. Yeah, I'm making a distinction, not saying that there is an actual one. Right. Define tomb. What is it in English? Tomb, a large vault, typically an underground one, for burying the dead. Can be an enclosure for a corpse cut into the earth or rock, or a monument to the memory of a dead person erected over their burial place. Define crypt. An underground room or vault beneath a church used as a chapel or burial place. Yeah, they are, for all intents and purposes, the same. Tomb does have a little bit more of a focus of the appreciation of the dead, whereas the crypt is where the dead go, and just that, but tomb can also be where the dead go. So there isn't really a distinction in English either. And that actually kind of gives me the latitude to make the distinction, to say Inaros is still Inaros, but he's not the same Inaros as the other Inaros. He's Inaros. And then there's Inaros, as some people pronounce it. It works. Let me have this. I don't see what better words really need to go there, because there isn't that much of a distinction. I'm entirely doing this because DE are changing the character. Yeah, fair enough, Moon. So what are you saying? You could go for Catacomb. I'm not sure if it's Inaros enough. Yeah, Catacomb has a larger scale again, like very big scale. And also it's long, yeah. We got ocean and swamp. The words are brief. One's 2 syllables, one's 1, but they're brief. Crypt and tomb. Again, both short. Also pun? Pun? There was a pun? I don't remember what pun happened there. Maybe it just did it as a matter of course. Oh. Cavatacomb, yeah. Okay, yeah. If I need a different name for an ability, maybe that can come up. Maybe. Okay, so, definition of crypt I'm allowed to have, so let's roll with the rest of it now. Yep. Do you take new players in your group? This is not an open group taking on people at this moment in time. Something tells me you've not read the title or paid any attention to the nature of this stream so far, Stephen Riggs. That is also your first message here, so you're not even actually part of this community. Do you have any idea what's happening here, Stephen? Something tells me the answer is probably no. So let's go over the other stats on Inaros. So I've done the strength, intelligence, charisma. The next one down, the adept, needs to have just intelligence up 1 point and charisma up 1 point. Those are mostly thematic in leaning into the next upgrades. Nope, you just got here. Alright, Stephen Riggs. You've just got here, and your very first message was, do you take new players in your group? You didn't want to find out anything about the group. You didn't want to find out anything about what's happening on the stream. All you had in mind was, how can you be part of the game? Even if we were running a D&D session right now, what makes you think that would end well for you? What makes you think that would end with you being included? Don't do that. Don't go to a stream and make the very first thing you think about yourself. Go to enjoy the content, and if there is a spot open, if you may be invited, you'll be made aware of it. And this goes for any game, not just D&D. Alright, on the Master one, we need to increase the intelligence to 17, and the charisma to 11. Now this time it's actually a mechanical buff, because the charisma was a negative, now it's a flat 0. It doesn't increase any of the stats, gives him a slightly better charisma save, but again, nothing amazing. It's just balancing out the figures a little bit. And then onto the Prime. Now the intelligence has the correct curve to it, so that is fine. The charisma should go up to a 13, giving it a +1. That's going to affect the charisma save. Make that a +7. Aside from that, again, no change to note. So just tiny little changes to the stats there, and that's what a lot of them needed. Just tiny little bits. So with that in mind, we can now take this Inaros Initiate tomb, copy it over. We go Inaros Initiate Crypt. Now, with desiccation, I don't think there's any change needed to it, and I'm wondering, actually, do I even need to distinguish between Tomb and Crypt at the Initiate tier? I don't think I do. I just don't, do I? Because, what was it they're looking to change with... let me bring up the workshop. Inaros Rework Workshop. Oh, that's not where I wanted to be. That's the Reddit post. How did I end up here? That is not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be on the actual workshop. There it is, Warframe Forums. So, desiccation, largely the same. Yeah. So because they're not changing it, I don't know that I need to actually have a distinction here. No. No, I don't need to. Main difference is Devour versus Cats, yeah. In our scrapyard summon sandcars? Pretty much. They're Dune buggies, but he calls them his Dune buddies, because he's the buds. Anyway. Yeah, Steam Rigs. I'm not looking to teach anyone how to play Dungeons & Dragons right now. I'm, for starters, completely full up on having groups of players as it is, even separate from this stream. Honestly, if you want to learn how to play, there are plenty of guides out there, and otherwise grab some friends together. Don't go to random streams and ask to just join in. Actually trying to find people looking to bring on someone new. Go to your local game store, or look for a group on Reddit if you really have to, if you're struggling that hard, but there are plenty of guides on how to learn to play, my dude. Again, a random stream is not going to be the answer. Ducks and Wolves here? Yup. Right, so yeah, I think honestly, I'm going to skip the whole Crypt, Inaros, Tomb Inaros on the Initiate. And I'll have a note that explains why it splits into two from there. So where is the split then? It is... Oh, it's Sandstorm, isn't it? Sandstorm has been whirlwind, faster animation movement. Inaros is invulnerable while in Sandstorm. Has a duration instead of being a channel power. Will not block energy regen, which doesn't matter here. And instead of throwing enemies everywhere around the level, drags them beneath your feet, so you can make melee ground finishers. Inaros regenerates health per second for each enemy held in the Sandstorm. Right. See, this is less of the rework that I was looking for. So, what do I have for Sandstorm on the Master? Inaros conjures a whirlwind of shifting sand in a cylinder with radius up to 30 feet and height up to 15 feet, centered on and moving with Inaros. That's a small sandstorm, actually, but yeah. Radius 30 feet. Actually, it's not that small. Well, it's not big. It's not big. The sandstorm heavily obscures all creatures within it, except two Inaros. If a non-friendly creature starts its turn in the sandstorm or enters it for the first time on a turn, it must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes an amount of slashing damage and is hurled to a random spot in the sandstorm within 20 feet, landing prone. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage only. If a creature in the sandstorm is affected by the Devour curse, Inaros may attempt to devour it from any distance rather than the ordinary 5 feet. It's the other note in there. Name the original Dust Devil. Microtornado picks up dust that frees up Sandstorm for the new one. I could. This is the problem with D just moving abilities around. It really does impact the setup here. Like, thankfully, I created the Grendel one after the Grendel rework, but this does affect the setup here. I'd really hoped that I had more to work with on Sandstorm. I didn't really look at it before the stream to decide what I could do with it, but I am stuck a little bit here. I'm probably just going to have to give it a different spell name, so I can tweak enough of the features that it works. That's annoying, actually. That is genuinely annoying. Yeah, alright. That's all. I'm just going to have to do that. There's nothing else I can do with it. I can't retain that one. So I'll give that a new name, new ability. I'll rename the old one and keep the name on the new one. And then we have Scarab Shell and Scarab Swarm. Again, I'll keep their names, and then on the old one, I'll go from Scarab Swarm to... I'll give it a name. I'll figure out a name. Scarab Master? Because it does both. That works. Scarab Lord, Scarab Cloak. Scarab Cloak. I like Scarab Cloak. I like that. Yeah, that's what I'll do on the old Prime. Scarab Cloak. There we are. And this Sandstorm... Dust Devil. Sounds a bit pitiful. Not gonna lie, for what it is. Hello, Pokodina. It's going alright. Hope it's going well for yourself as well. Desert Storm is too bland. It gives me ideas of something military, even. Don't know what that's referring to in my head. Hello, Sophoros. Sandstorms. Don't want to just call it whirlwind. That's boring. The abilities are so similar and yet different enough that I need to make changes. This is annoying. Do I do homebrew reviewing here? I don't do homebrew reviewing here, no. I'm in the process of making my own for an exceedingly long document. This is currently over 200 pages long. You might understand why I'm a little bit focused on this then. If you would like your homebrew reviewed, I do a coaching as part of the Patreon offering, so you head over to the Patreon, Patreon for the link on that, if you were looking for a direct one-to-one on things on that side. And I can absolutely go over it with you there. Get in touch with me first through Discord if that's something you'd want to consider, just to make sure it would be right for you before you click any buttons. But yeah, if that's what you were looking for, that'd be the way to go about it. Let's see, Sandstorm. Can I work in anything with the Crypt or Tomb? Tombstorm? No, that just sounds like I've misspelled Tombstone. Nothing Epitaph, that's already got a place with Sevagoth. Mummy's Curse doesn't fit. Blinding Sands? Yeah, I suppose I could not have the obscurement on normal Sandstorm, but do I want to do away with that? I don't think I do. Oh, I'm really stuck on this one. Genuinely, I'm really stuck on this naming bit. I just need to rename Sandstorm out of Sandstorm so that the new Inaros can just have Sandstorm. What's the augment for it? Augment is... looked at the wrong one. Elemental Sandstorm. Well, that helps nothing. Dust Bowl... Dust Bowl sounds too weak. It's not dust, it's sand. Dust was more of a plague to crops rather than a mummy's whirlwind in a desert. Hold on, what is that? Okay, you know what? I think I have it. And it's closer to Dust Storm than Sandstorm, but I have an answer for you. Sirocco. The definition of Sirocco, according to Google, which is according to Merriam-Webster, a hot dust-laden wind from the Libyan deserts that blows on the northern Mediterranean coast, chiefly in Italy, Malta and Sicily. It's a warm, moist, oppressive southeast wind in the same regions. Comes from the Sahara, can reach hurricane speeds. And we have the Sirocco in Warframe. The amp gun. So it's a way to work that in, because there are no amp guns, there are no operators, there are no Tenos, so there are no amps. So that bridges the gap of referencing not only what was cut out as in the old Inaros, but also what is cut out in the Tenno I'm taking out. It's a double whammy of capturing the same thing. And by pure chance, I think that is the best rename I can give it. Sirocco. Yeah. Does just enough justice to, I think. Just enough. So I'm saying I feel like Sirocco is a word like rhyme, and that people know it but don't really get what it means. See, here's the thing. Aside from knowing it as an amp gun, I'd never heard the word before. I'd only known of it in Warframe. So when I just looked up for alternatives to Sandstorm, I'll be honest, I just Googled, and Sirocco came up as a suggestion. I was like, what the heck is that thing? Let's do some reading, and then got me answer. So yeah. Google for the win! There we are. Sirocco. Right then. With that aside, that frees me up to just make Sandstorm Sandstorm. You thought I said Morocco at first? I can see how you thought that. I definitely didn't. But I can see how you thought that. A spell like that in Pathfinder? Yeah, I'm sure. Right. Inaros Adept. So, the Adept is where we have Tomb and Crypt come in. So that's going to go here, add a new page. Inaros Adept, but this time Crypt. Now this one, it's going to be near enough the same thing. We can remove the Devour, which is unfortunate. I really like the Devour, which is why I'm keeping the original Inaros. Because this very last line right here, if nothing else, if a creature is killed by this spell, its soul is devoured. It cannot be revived except by means of a wish or godly power. I mean, how could I get rid of that? That has the right level of terrifying to it. So, the Inaros Adept Crypt won't have it, but the Inaros Adept and above Tomb, they shall. And instead, we'll start with the base functionality of Sirocco as our starting point here for the new Sandstorm, which is not actually Sirocco, it's now just Sandstorm. Inaros conjures a whirlwind of shifting sands in a cylinder with radius up to 30 feet and height up to 15 feet, centered on and moving with Inaros. The sandstorm heavily obscures all creatures within it, except to Inaros. If a non-friendly creature starts its turn within the sandstorm, or enters it for the first time on a turn, it must make a strength saving throw. DC is what DC is. DC up at 16, is that correct? Oh right, yeah, I took it from a different tier, that's why. That needs to come down to 14. There we go. On a failed save, the creature takes slashing damage, and that it should, yep. And is hurled, instead of a random spot, is hurled to an unoccupied space nearest to Inaros. Landing prone. There we go. So instead of it going to a random spot and scattering them, which is the original Sandstorm, now because it groups you up at the feet of Inaros, that's what I'm going to have it do. Drop them prone there. Which means that Inaros on getting that to happen is going to be like, haha, and you come. Right to me, and then I can murder you. Stabby, stabby, stabby. All that good stuff. Yes, indeed. And that works nicely with his passive, which is when Inaros crits with a melee attack, Inaros regains hit points equal to half the damage dealt by the weapon. That is basically finisher attacks replaced with critical hits. If you have advantage to hit because they're prone, more likely to crit, more likely to get the ground finisher value out of it. So that is still working to the design of that there, which is very, very good. I want to make sure that all the scaling of damage on this is going to be fine. That 27 is probably going to be too much, so let me get an impression on this. Inaros puts himself into an area with two people in it, cast that, so that on their turn, they both take the 27 damage and fall prone. So that would be 27, 54 damage, 55 damage technically. Then on follow-up turns, Going to keep chasing people down. And also get the damage in from his other stuff. Okay. And he's going to get 3 dagger attacks in. He's got the bonus action dagger, no less. Yeah, I'm going to bring that down by 1d10, I think. Yeah. Bring that down by 1d10, so it'll be 4d10 for 22 damage. That brings it down to 44 average rather than 55. Which is a huge drop down there, actually, yeah. Taking, obviously, 20% off the damage. That should mitigate the sheer effectiveness of it. Yeah, because you make your strength saving throw, you take half damage and then you just skedaddle. Yeah. Now I've said height up to 15 feet. That means it's wider than it is tall by a 4-to-1 ratio. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Cinema's saying a sand-based attack would probably be suffocation type attack like Gelatinous Cube. Not in a Warframe sense, no. I'm trying to broadly capture the nature of the Warframe powers. Are you familiar with Inaros and Warframe, Cinem? Are you familiar with how they exist? Normally I wouldn't need to ask that question, but given we're on a D&D stream rather than a Warframe stream, I just want to check on that. And would this be a 5th level spell? What was Sandstorm cast as? 6th level, yeah, so 5th level will be fine, yeah. You never use his abilities because he's an Inaros. Right then, well, fair enough then. I appreciate your input, all the same. We don't suffocate the enemies with Sandstorm in Warframe. And that's going to remain true even with the rework. They don't get suffocated. I can't spell. There we are. Sandstorm, 5th level, job's good. Yeah, we don't need to do anything too much with that. It's going to be the others where I'm going to have to tax my creative juices a bit because, boy oh boy, does Scarab Armor not look all that great. We'll see what we got with it. All the rest of it shouldn't need to change. Yeah, I think I can leave the rest of it as is, near enough. It's just that little difference there on having the Sandstorm move over. Cool. Alright. Let's level up to the Master. So, Inaros Master Tomb variant. And then... new page. We'll grab the details here, just down to... I didn't make any change to that, so I can grab it all the way down to the end of Desiccation. And then from there, I want to pick up everything from the new stuff. I somehow missed that. There we go. So this will be the Crypt one. So all the stats are going to be correct at the top, but I'll need to correct them all the rest of the way down. So the Sandstorm needs to be increased to DC 16. And the damage back to that 27 for 5d10. The Sandstorm is now 6th level. Desiccation, I noticed, was not increasing. Is that correct? 30-foot cone. 30-foot cone. 30-foot cone. Yeah, I'm not leveling up Desiccation. Does that mean even the Prime just has the 2nd level one? It does. Okay. Yep, that's fine with me. Let's see. Yo! El Wolver, thank you very much for subscribing there at tier 1. Once again, 9 months of support. El Wolver, thank you very, very much for continuing your support. I appreciate that. And I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Oh. Cheers, my dude. At the very least, if the day has perhaps not been right for you, I hope you got a nice weekend to look forward to. Right, so, Sandstorm got carried over. DC is corrected. The DC for the general casting needs to be corrected and has therefore been corrected. The dagger damage, that needs to copy this over here. Actually, I can just copy this section. It's only the spell casting I'm changing on this one. Oh, that works. Beautiful. Okay, this then brings us on to Dee's creation, which was Scarab Shell. They really broke out the dictionary for that one. Scarab Shell. But it's fine, we'll work with it. Let's see, so Scarab Shell. Inaros' fourth ability being split into two. Scarab Shell can be charged up, spending health, give you armor. Unique indicator on the HUD, which doesn't matter to us, we don't have HUDs. Doesn't stop you moving around, gives a little bit more armor than before, and the resistance to stuff has been built in. Right, what did I do with Scarab Armor? Or Scarab Cloak? Inaros runs out a chunk of itself at the cost of 40 hit points, dissolving into 4 swarms of glittering scarabs. These give it +4 saving throws. As a bonus action, Inaros may direct one of the swarms to a creature. So yeah, I didn't give it increased armor, did I? I just gave +4 to saving throws. Oh, okay. Scarab Carapace doesn't roll off the tongue too nicely. Yeah, it's just the fact they went for Scarab twice. 2 different abilities. So now we've got Scarab Swarm and Scarab Shell. Maybe grants a flat damage reduction 4. That's an exceptionally rare feature for 5e. Exceptionally rare. I think the only time we actually see that is Heavy Armor Mastery feat. Which, granted, can technically be obtained at level 1 if you're a variant human. But my point is, it's not really a common thing. I could apply it here. Whenever you take damage, and that only, by the way, is non-magical physical, if I recall. So I could make it whatever it takes damage, just takes a little bit less from physical types. Given that this is going to be an entire ability into itself, as opposed to Scarab Cloak, which is meant to be 2 different abilities in one. We can power it up there. We can definitely power it up. So. But there's also the fact that he's not going to be spending it. I can go +2 to AC in all saves as a flat thing. It gives no interaction, but it's just a cast and done. It's just a power-up, which is boring to me, but he could do that. Negation Swarm I didn't use originally. I instead just gave the saves, which is kind of negation. This is the problem with Scarab Shell. It's a boring ability. Increases your armor, 350 scaled with strength. That's just... It's boring. Inaros' third ability after rework is going to be boring. I can't fix that. So I'd either make the ability do more than it should be doing, or I just acknowledge the boringness of it. Which feels boring. Maybe make the Augment into it with the Death Defiance part? Shout. Absolute shout, yes. Let's have a look. What can we do there? Augment change. Negation Swarms replaced by Negation Armor. When Inaros takes fatal damage, consume Scarab Shell to heal and become briefly invulnerable. Inaros is affected by a strong bleed status when this ends. That I can skip. But, yeah. +2 AC, +2 saves. If reduced to 0 hit points while spell is active, instead recovers to such and such hit points, and then the spell ends. And invulnerable to all damage till start of its next turn. Yeah, let's do that. That's it. That cooks it right there. That cooks it well and truly. Thank you very much, Jacob. That was a very smart idea. Scarab Shell. Spell. one. I'm going to stick with the bonus action, because it's a boring ability. We need him to do something more on the turn. So just spell one bonus action, 1 minute duration on it, which basically just says for the encounter. If your encounters last more than 10 rounds, something's gone wild. They shouldn't be lasting that long. The encounter math says they shouldn't be lasting that long. A chitinous carapace layers over Inaros, protecting it from hostile forces. For the spell duration, Inaros has +2 AC, rising to 20, and +2 to all saving throws. New line. If Inaros would be reduced to 0 hit points during this spell, the carapace disintegrates into it, not him, it. We're using non-gender terminology throughout this document. The carapace disintegrates into it to restore Inaros. It instantly recovers to, I want 10% of his hit points, I think. Yeah. So it instantly recovers to 29.4, let's call it 30, round it to a nicer number. Recovers to 30 hit points and becomes invulnerable to all damage until the start of its next turn. Spell otherwise ends. The spell then ends. Yeah. Now it's Siphon Scarab Shell. You know what? That could work better, yeah. Yeah, that does sound better, yeah. If Inaros will be reduced to 0 points during a spell, Inaros siphons energy from its carapace. I can't spell. Carapace, there we are. Inaros siphons the energy from its carapace, dismantling it. And then, because I've used it a couple times, I need Inaros instantly recovers 30 hit points and becomes invulnerable to all damage until the start of its next turn. The spell then ends. It doesn't note any change to saving throws during that time. The intent there is that saving throws would exist until the end of the spell, but if a DM chose not to rule it like that and that the saving throw bonus did vanish, allowing for non-damaging effects to hit him harder, or more likely to hit, yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to quibble a DM ruling on that one. Gives a DM a little bit of wiggle room to decide things in favour of the encounter being interesting. But yeah, I like that rephrasing there, Ray. I appreciate that. So, recheck on that. Bonus action, 1 minute, a chitinous carapace layers over Inaros, protecting it from hostile forces. For the spell duration, Inaros is +2 AC, and +2 to all saving throws. If Inaros will be reduced to 0 hit points during this spell, Inaros siphons the energy from its carapace, dismantling it. Inaros instantly recovers 30 hit points and becomes invulnerable to all damage until the start of its next turn. The spell then ends. Cheeky little detail there. And this is only one that goes to players that understand what is happening, players which have researched thine enemy, or players that listen to the DM accidentally spill the beans. If it is your turn, Inaros has just been reduced to 0 hit points and then recovered magically to 30 hit points. You don't know how many hit points, but you know that Inaros has just recovered. If you know that Inaros is invulnerable until the start of Inaros' next turn, Ready action. Don't attack right there. Use your action ready to do something negative to Inaros on the trigger that Inaros then starts to do something like make an attack or move. And at that point, you release your ready action because you know the invulnerability will not be there. Bam! You nail Inaros before Inaros can do anything else. But that requires planning and preparation. If the party are not planned for something like that, then Inaros will get the full power of that invulnerability, either getting the party to back off, like, oh shit, what do we do now? Or the party are extra and they go, haha, use my action to attack. Bam! Oh. That did nothing. Whatever it be. Whatever it be. But yes. Ray saying, but wait, I'm waiting? Does he have his Undying passive? No. So I've given him a passive because there's no need to give him two passives. Certainly ones which can get complicated. And instead I've gone for the passive of Leeching Sands. When Inaros crits with a melee attack, Inaros regains hit points equal to half the damage dealt by the weapon. So effectively, if he gets the absolute best finisher, then he gets the healing from finisher. I didn't originally go for the Undying passive. I just felt it wasn't really necessary at the time. His passive then was a bit shit, and making it more powerful, I didn't really have a fit for it. And later on, I have given Sevagoth and Wukong survival on 0 passives. Wukong's one is basically a con save against the damage, but the con save gets substantially harder each time to the point that he's just not going to pass. Sevagoth does get his death dying state. He becomes a dying shadow. However, the chance of the dying shadow actually succeeding in recovering Sevagoth is very low. It requires the players to basically screw up for 2 rounds in a row for the shadow to recover as Sevagoth. Chance of that happening is basically not. The endgame Warframe is to understand Warframe? I guess I'm in the endgame then. Question is, are the devs? The number of details I've dug through, even with this most recent update, just like... Understand the lore? Oh, no one understands that. If anyone says to you that they feel like they understand 90% or more of the lore in Warframe, I can show you someone who does not in fact understand 90% or more of the lore in Warframe. Because there is so much contradictory lore, there is so much retcon, so much backpedal, so much change for the nature of changing promises. Nah. D themselves don't have a 90% on it, so no one does. They said themselves, for example, that with Duviri, they were somewhat locked into making that kind of content. It was a check that had to be cashed, as it were. And considering the sheer story implications of that, that speaks volumes in itself. The lore's over the place. They retconned a retcon at one point. Yeah, and then there's the absolute mess that the star chart is in terms of story implications. Yeah. It just kind of be a big old... at times. There's a lot of good components, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of really interesting and cool components. You try compiling that into a book to sell the story, and a publisher's going to go through with a big red marker in a lot of places. They really are. Not to mention some of the filler chapters just kind of feel at times a little too filler. But that's my opinion on it. Alright, Inaros Master Crypt, we got the Scarab Shell, we got the upgrades there, we got the actions and bonus action, that all stays there, we got the Leeching Sands, we got the abilities. We don't really need to make much in the way of changes in general. So far, the Crypt one doesn't have much of a change. Which is fine, that's kind of intended. I do need to put on that he can actually cast this. That would help. So, Scarab, Shell. Honestly, that's only a 6th level. It's nice, but it's only a 6th. Hell, I don't know if it's even a 6th, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'll leave it at 6th, and then the top tier one could be 8th level. Jump 2 levels. Do I give it an 8th? Nah. 7th, +1 level. +1 to AC, +1 to all saving throws, and then just go there. I could make it 8th. AC seem more worthy of the power jump. Yeah. Miniman, no idea, no. Hey guys, Sugar Rush, some tips about making notes for studying. I stuck at group discussions even when I'm well researched and all. I see your videos as a good benchmark. How to get my point across. Sorry if irrelevant. Not irrelevant. Not irrelevant. It's to what I do. So tips about making notes for studying. You stuck at group discussions. Okay, what are we breaking down there? Hey, I don't really have a lot of context as to the situation you're working with there. Like the kind of thing you're studying, the kind of thing you're studying for. When you say group discussions, are you presenting in a group, working in a group, presenting to a group? Or is it more just general conversational ability to project a point in a succinct... Is that how you pronounce it? I think it is. I hate that word. In a concise... in a concise and understandable format. Oh, yeah, Miniman, yeah, that whole thing with Lars Prime and Barrow, that still exists, yeah. You've on with your points. Okay. Well, I prepare my points to make a very big point of that. You'll notice that I put out a video a week. That's not because I'm spending the other 6 days of a week having fun, riding roller coasters, swimming in the ocean, and hitting on guys down the club. No. It's because I spent that time first grabbing a topic and fiddling with it until I'm sure I've got something worth talking about. Then figure out what exactly there is to talk about. And then paring it down, chopping away until I've got specifically only what needs to be talked about. To cut away the chaff and the fluff, to cut down the ramblings that lose people along the way. Because at the end of the day, someone who knows a topic can talk about a topic for 3, 4, 5 times longer than you can talk about it, than you want to listen about it, sorry. Because the person talking knows where they're going, and the person listening is waiting for that point to happen. And that's what you need to cut through when trying to be concise. Really appreciate it. The other person is trying to get to the end of your point, whichever point you're making, and any ancillary and supporting information to that needs to be only as much as required to both communicate it and to finish it. That's how I'd, as a generalized point, put it there. You get some people who go too concise, they make a point, and you have to kind of pull extra information out of them. The moon is big. Like, okay, how big? It's big. You need to say how big. That's well over concise. But if you go, the moon is big, it is 764.937 times 10 to the 14 kilograms when measured from a spectral ray consideration of the gravitational anomalies. You're like, shut the hell up already. The moon is big, it's 1/6 the mass of Earth. Boom. That kind of middle ground. Get the point across, support the point, end the point. And I think I've rambled a bit to get there. If only to prove the point of how much I would script to consideration. But that's all very vague, and I think you're in an advert right now, so if you missed some of that, you're probably going to have to subscribe. Good point, Miniman. Yeah, it's 1/6 the gravity. It's 1/6 the gravity. It's actually... Moon, Earth, comparison. The moon is apparently about a 1:4 ratio with Earth. Apparently. Weighs 80 times less. But then those two combine together to give 1/6 of the gravity, or something like that. I'll be honest, I don't memorize all the stats of the moon. The gravity 1/6 bit I think I'm right on, but otherwise, yeah. At the end of the day, moon big, but not that big. But still quite big for a moon, which again would need supporting points. But yeah, Agar, I hope that gives you something of an idea. I think you got cut off by ads there. If not, lucky you. Some people will have. Thank you so much. I think I get it. International Humanitarian Law, GD. I know what those letters are. Anyway, I think lack prep, and I perhaps don't rehearse enough, although my resources are mostly research papers and journals, but yeah, thank you so much. Go for it. Get your points down to the point where you wouldn't get bored listening to you talking about it. Absolutely. And considering law as a topic is a very pithy and grainy and dry topic to talk about, absolutely cutting to the chase is brilliant for that. I'd say for that kind of thing. Make sure you hit all the technical points. You can't skip technical points. Certainly in high levels, if you're in degrees, universities, top tier stuff, you need to cover the technicalities, but cover it to your audience. That's another crucial bit of it. If you have an audience of people that know precisely what GD is, you don't need to say any more than GD. If you're talking to an audience that doesn't know damn shit about that, yours truly, then those are the kind of things that you would perhaps put in brackets, as a side note, just so you can then use the shorthand going forwards. Get everyone on the same page, know what that page is, and then cut to the chase within the page, and you'll be good. Winding paths, they're for the stories and novels. No one needs that in a technical discussion. Right, I've completely lost where I got to. I will be quite honest. So I'm going to just look at my work here. Inaros, Crypt, Tomb, Crypt, Tomb, Crypt. Okay, is this Crypt all done? Yes, it is. Scarab Shell. Yeah, right. Moving on. Prime. My pleasure, Agar. My pleasure. Hello there, Manashinu. How you doing? Alright, let's get this Prime going. So we have not got that much time for me to do it, but it shouldn't be too hard. I know what I'm doing. I'm an engineer. I solve practical problems, so this should be easy. It's a bit late for you? Ah, fair do. Well, sit back, relax, enjoy the tranquil tones we have here as I develop the most devastating of warframes. It's not the most, but it's still going to be devastating. You'll be totally devastated. Let's scroll this down to the page we're working on. There we go. Pop that in there. And then we need to steal this from prior work. Should all fit in beautifully. There we go. Psst. Something carried over that shouldn't. Boop. There we are. Right. You always enjoy some late night pocket sand? Well, there we are then. There we are. Okay, we've got the Scarab Shell carried over from the previous Crypty boy. Because this is the Crypt variant rather than the Tomb variant. So Scarab Cloak, as a bonus action, Inaros may redirect one of the swarms at a creature can see of under 20 feet, reducing its saving throw bonus by 1. Oh yeah, I didn't put any self-damage on the Scarab Shell, did I? And I won't, because that would be weird. So I'm just not going to do that. Yeah. I imagine it should, Ray. If it doesn't, I will have to amend my works. I'm going to act like it does. Okay, so what I did originally was Inaros may redirect one of the swarms at a creature it can see within 120 feet, reducing the same photos. The swarm engulfs a sphere of radius 50 feet around the creature and follows the target creature. Target swarm is AC 17, HP 40, saving throws +5, resistance to damage from attacks. Non-friendly creatures engulfed by the swarm must make a con save at the start of each of their turns. On a failed save, they take 9 piercing, 9 acid, or half as much on a successful save. Inaros regains hit points equal to half the damage dealt. A creature can only be damaged by one swarm at a time. Oh, I didn't put a D on that. I need to give that ability the D. Let's see here. Damaged. There we go. If a targeted creature dies or a swarm is reduced to 0 hit points, the swarm disintegrates into sand instantly, which I think is a nice touch. So, in the rework, on cast, enemies encounter are attacked by scarabs that do portion of Inaros' max health as corrosive damage per second. I can just give a flat figure. Enemies that die while affected by Scarab Swarm turn into Scarab Kavat. Yep. And we're not going to have the Augment Desiccation's Curse kind of thing, so that's fine. Swarm Kavats can move and attack independently, and their attacks cause enemies to be afflicted by the swarm. Cool. Right, that is down to death for it to scale. Do I want to leave it to get that far? Because that's failure cascade territory. But I want the Kavats. I could just skip the initial Scarab cast and just go straight Kavats. Summons these Sand Kavats. Skip even the name, Scarab Swarm. Just straight up rename the ability Sand Kavat or Sandcat, Swarmcat. Yeah. Have it be that the swarm is not dispersed, the swarm materializes as the Kavats. Yeah, that's the thing. It's that's if targeted creature dies. Swarm materializes Kavats after 3 turns. What? Creature dies from swarm 3 turns later. Kavat comes about. Surely that's not what you mean, Ray, because that would be too late for anything to matter. No, if we're going to have this Kavats, they need to be there from the moment of casting. There is no alternative to it. They have to be there straight away. It's guaranteed 3 turns if the creature cannot escape the swarm. Places the death trigger. Okay, so they get swarmed, and then 3 turns later, there are Kavats. No good. That's too late. Whilst your playtesting has encountered longer encounters, I can tell you now that's not going to be the case for a lot of people in a lot of encounters. I have been testing the higher end of what you guys can stomach, which means that the encounters last a bit longer. These will be used in easier encounters as well, and Inaros would fall flat before then, in a lot of cases. Maybe not Inaros Prime, but even then, I mean, it's still a stack of hit points at the end of the day that can be burned through. 3 turns is far too late. The Kavats will be there for a moment and then gone, and that doesn't scream Inaros to me. That screams hurry up and wait for something interesting to happen. Snow. The Sand Kavats work in Warframe because we got so many weak enemies to kill and feed off of that. I'm going to have to go with a different approach. Yeah. So think here. Summon 3 Sand Kavats. Give them their own stat block. Yeah, the death trigger needs to go. So just on cast, summon the Sand Kavats, and then the Sand Kavats do their thing. Summons 3 Sand Kavats. They go about their thing. They deal damage. They spread the infection of scarabiness. And that's going to cause Inaros to heal as a result. Does Scarab Swarm only heal Inaros? Currently? Let's see. Once launched... No, it's Inaros and allies in range. Healing radius affected by ability range. Healing radius being 15 meters. That's like 50 feet. That's a bit of work. That's base range. Okay. Let's see then. What we can do is summon the Kavats. The Kavats do their thing. They attack creatures, cause them to be infested with magical scarabs. I'll make it where the Sand Kavats can't be healed and host in this, just to limit how overbearing the ability can become. Give me a more controlled element there. But yeah, that should do the trick. Ooh. Also, buy a mug. There we are. You're welcome, bot. Yeah, control element of it. I'll give the Kavats piercing and acid damage. Yeah. So I'm saying, imagine if you cast Speak of Animals on the scabs, they just go nom 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 nom. I can imagine a DM pulling that trick on them. Yeah. Oh shit! That's just brought back a memory, kind of tangential. Had a druid who casts Speak of Animals, and I plucked a random, and I do mean completely random, idea of a creature into my head as to what personality to run it with. And so they ended up speaking to two creatures. There was a hedgehog that didn't have a lot to say. And on a few words. Straight to point. Short emotion. Just vibing. Very simple. And the other creature they spoke to, which the hedgehog didn't really get along with, was Riley the Racist Raven. This raven was particularly flamboyant, very much larger than life in how it squawked, and was very, very racist against elves. Why elves? They never got the answer. But Riley the Racist Raven hated elves. Just through and through. Now, the druid was a dragonborn, so it was perfectly fine speaking to the raven. Very much not elven creatures to speak to. In fact, looks slightly like the hedgehog friend. The hedgehog disagreed on being friends. There was a elf in the group who was told to back off just for being part of the conversation. He wasn't even part of it, he just stood there. The raven nearly had an arrow through it for that. So I'm saying ravens have a long memory of people who are good or bad to them. True, that's very true. We never explored it enough for that to matter. The druid did decide after this he was never going to speak to a raven again, so I might have taken it a bit far. The others thought it was hilarious. But yeah, Riley the Racist Raven. A flamboyant, ridiculous creature that, in the end, agreed to help for the Russians providing in a bag, plus a gold coin. Because shiny. It really liked the shiny. Still didn't like the elf. Feel free to use that one in one of your own campaigns. Okay, so I think I have a good enough idea as to where I'm taking this. So let's do this. On to Crypty Boy. So he's not a cryptid, but yeah. Sand Kavat. I'm just going to go with that as a name. It works. Spell, 1 action, 1 minute duration again. Some warframes are just a bunch of 1 minute abilities, that's how it go. When Ashuna is saying that Raven sounds like my spirit animal, like shiny and dislike elves. Are you particularly loudly flamboyant? Where your every sentence has to just dominate the conversation? Where if your voice is not yet echoing off the trees of the forest, you might need to get louder still? Because if so, then yes, there you are, spirit animal, absolutely. Maybe not that much? Alright. You can see with Corey the confused crow. Let's go with that. Still hates elves. But doesn't know why. Very confusing. From an outpouring of sand, Inaros magically shapes 3 sand cavats. In 3 unoccupied spaces it can see within... we're going to have a very short range on this, honestly. 30 feet. Summoning should happen close by. They're about the size of panthers, are they not? Yeah. I'm going to go with medium-sized creatures. That seems about right to me. There we go. Panther 5e. Let's see. Stats as designed. Medium beast. Yep, there we are. Perfect. So yeah. Medium creatures. So. Inaros magically shapes 3 sand cavats in 3 unoccupied spaces you can see within 30 feet. The cavats act independently on their own turn. On initiative 10 below Inaros. It gives a bit of separation, gives the players time to react and begin to figure out what's going on. Although if there's just Inaros at 21, Kavats at 11, no one in between, then whatever, it happens. But it gives just a bit of separation between all of the actions happening. The Kavats act independently on their own turn on initiative 10 below Inaros. Though Inaros can freely telepathically direct them. If a sand cavat or Inaros is reduced to 0 hit points, the sand cavat disintegrates into coarse, non-magical sand, leaving the remains behind, just as pala sand. When a sand cavat deals damage, Inaros and its allies within within 50 feet of Inaros regain, let's go 5 hit points, and I'll scale the cavat damage accordingly. Regaining 5 hit points each. Work on the assumption that Inaros will have 1 ally in range, so that every time this triggers, it'll be a 10 hit point heal. That's just going to be the assumption we run with for balancing purposes. Much like how AoE spells, you run on the assumption of 2 targets, unless you've got good reason to believe there'll be more than 2 targets. So yeah, I think that will be a fair point from there. And I didn't put the S on disintegrates. Oops. Sand disintegrates into coarse, non-magical sand. I will resist the temptation to put it's rough, irritating, and gets everywhere. I know some of you were thinking it. Not going to go there. Right, I need a way to put in the Sandkavat block. And I'd like it here. It doesn't really matter, it's going to move around at some point when I do the final update. So what I can do for now is actually Scarab Shell here. If I cut that... There we are, that's perfect. And then... that. Is that enough room for a Sandkavat? We'll find out. We're about to find out. So, to construct this, I'm actually going to go find the rumblers. Copy that stat block as a basis. Jump back to this location down here. Pop that there, and it's off the end. Feck! Can I put this line in the block? Is that too much? Have I got... What if I take out that? This... Oh, that's a tiny space to work with. But I can make it work. Sandkavat. Medium construct. Squirrel, what warframe would be the worst to encounter during your wedding? Necros. Necros. Now you might be wondering, hang on, why Necros? Desecrate. Necros is going to kill your fiancé, raise their shadow as a undead soldier to work on their side, and then is going to desecrate the corpse and desecrate the grounds, because most weddings, my understanding, are meant to happen in churches or something to that extent, which is usually in a D&D sense considered to be on some amount of hallowed ground, and desecrate will ruin that. So yeah, Necros. It may not be the most devastating, but is certainly going to have a number of negative effects that no other warframe can bring. Most of them can kill you. Necros will really ruin your day. Necros could bring your grandparents to your wedding. If I got married tomorrow, I could bring one grandparent to my wedding. You know. It's not completely out there yet. I don't need a Ouija board just yet. It was 11 years ago yesterday that I lost my first grandparent, so, you know. At least the first I had ever met. But there's that. Necros kills the wedding with emotional damage. Oh no, I assure you, it's very necrotic. Very, very, very necrotic. Trinity would be the worst for divorce court, preventing until death do us part. You have to be friendly to Trinity for it to work that way. But I get you. Now, Inaros' tomb just devours the soul. That would be bad. 1/1. Concentration 1 minute. And doesn't give them immunity to damage. Sorry, Ray. You can't get out the divorce that way. She's leaving you, Ray. Nothing you can do about it. Okay, let's see. So, Sandkavat, medium construct, unaligned, because, yep. Armor class, 16, seems reasonable to leave it there. In fact, I can copy the Rumbler's stats mostly on this. Do I bring the hit points down? They're quite high. I'm going to bring those hit points down. But let's look at these other stats first. Strength, Dex, Con, 16, then Int, Wished, Char, Low. I'm going to drop the Strength down to 12. The Con down to 14. But instead going to pile all of that stat that I've just taken out, which was a total of 6, into the Wisdom. Because Kavat. Condition immunity, prone, that's Rumbler. Kavat shouldn't have that. Condition immunity, frightened, charmed. Oh, charmed should be at the front of it. Charmed, frightened, petrified, because... In fact, I don't know why petrified isn't on the Rumblers, to be honest. I should probably fix that. Yeah, charmed, frightened, petrified, poisoned. Do I have space for that? I do. Cool. Yeah, that'll do for now. Senses, does not get Tremor Sense. Do I give it Dark Vision? Kavat should have Dark Vision, yeah. Dark Vision to 60 feet. Passive Perception will be a 12. Understands, Common. Yorikin later. Yeah, right. I should have put Petrified Immunity on the Rumblers. I don't know why that wasn't there. It happens. I'll fix it. Friendly Fire is on. Vault will be the worst guess because everyone will be running into walls and falling over. Yes. Yes, that is the worst reason to have Vault at a wedding. Definitely nothing to do with the discharge that would, you know, sunder basically everyone. It's the running into walls problem. Yeah. Okay, Alright, let's take out the special feature there, because I'm just going to get rid of that entirely. And let's go with Scarabite. Melee weapon attack, plus 5 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 target. On hit, let's go with 1d6 plus 3, which is an average of 6. Piercing damage. And 3 brackets 1d6 acid damage. Yeah, the fact that cats didn't get dark vision is really weird, Manashino. You're very right. It's very, very weird. I just want to check how many lines have I got left here. Not that many. Yeah, I've got 2 lines left if I want to fit it on here. I know that won't matter in the final piece, but I just want to fit it onto here. It just looks neater if I can. So if I can keep it to the simple enough to fit here, then I'm good. And that's all the space I got to work with. You know what? I've got an idea. This might be a bad idea, but I've got an idea. Melee weapon attack, plus 5 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 target, 6. Target creature takes an extra 3 bracket 1d6 acid damage at the start of each of its turns until the Kavat disintegrates. I should put hand so it's part of the hit. Okay. So melee weapon attack +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, 1 target. On hit, deals 6 piercing damage, 6.5 average. And the target creature takes an extra 3, that is 1d6 acid damage at the start of each of its turns until the Kavat disintegrates. No save, no special get outs of that one. It just keeps on hitting. That's the Scarabs. Can I fit from Scarab Bites? Actually, putting Scarab Bite and Scarab Bites in the... No, don't need that. That's fine. Kill the DOT? Exactly, yeah. If the Kavat dies, if Inaros dies, if the spell times out, if the spell is dispelled, if any reason the Kavat disintegrates, the damage over time stops. But otherwise, the Kavat can bite you, and then you, and then you, and then you, work its way around, and it's just going to keep on spreading it. Just going to keep on spreading that one. I mean, obviously, it's only got a minute to live, so it is still limited in that regard. But if the Kavat was perfect about it, if it bit someone on every turn, then it would get out, what's that? 10, 9, 8, yeah, so the triangle numbers of 10. What is the triangle number of 10? 10 squared plus 10 divided by 2. 55 hits, so 55d6, which over the course of 10 turns, that's decent. Yeah. Plus the extra hits, so 65d6. Plus 30 damage over that time. That's pretty decent. And in that time as well, Inaros would have healed a lot. Does it stack? I'm going to be intentionally ambiguous. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to specify that. I could say this can stack. Yeah, let's just say this can stack. I don't have enough room to say with itself. So this can stack. This can stack up. That fits. It's a tiny little box, and I'll probably rephrase it in the final document when I don't have tiny space to work with. But yeah, there we go. Sankavat bites, applies piercing damage, and then an ongoing acid damage as it gets corroded. I've gone for Scarab Bite, but honestly, there's nothing to do with Scarabs at this point. Cane Bite? I mean, necrotic. What would be the word here? Desiccated? Desiccation Bite. There we go. Eroding Bite? I could go Eroding as well. Eroding or Desiccation? Which do we want to go for here? I'm holding on the acid as the corrosive from the theme of Inaros, but I don't have to do that. Desiccation is only the name of the one. Ah, yeah, good point. Eroding Bite it is. Eroding Bite it is. There we are. Squirbo, you win. By default. But no, that's valid. Alright, there we are. So that gives us Sankavat. Now let's just check if the damage makes sense on this. Inaros summons this. Whoa! There are Sankavats. They go out, they attack. There are 3 of them. They each go out, they attack a creature, assume they hit, because that's how you work out the encounter mathematics. Misses and misses. So they each go out and hit. They've only got +5 to hit at the moment. I might want to increase that. Might want to increase that substantially. I'll come back to that. They each go out, they attack. They land effectively 10 damage per round. So that's 30 damage per round from that action. in that time as well. They're going to damage on hit and then damage on the tick. So that'll be 6 damage instances. That's 60 healing from Inaros, 30 for himself, 30 for someone else, which makes it a 90 per round on that ability itself, potentially. And actually has the option to scale even harder. That could be a lot, actually. That's high. I could limit that to only heal Inaros. Not a good idea, Ray. No. 1, it would take up more space on the stat block. 2, sneak attack doesn't give them advantage to hit. If you're talking sneak attack as rogues, that's extra damage dice. So it'd need to be something else. That advantage would be from hidden, but they're not hiding. They're right in front of you. They're sand demon things charging at you. It just doesn't fit the nature of them, really. It would be more like pack tactics, but they're incentivized to split up as well to get more damage ticks out, so... again, Ray, sneak attack doesn't do that. You might be doing a Pathfinder again there, Ray. I think... Yeah, I think if I just limit the healing to Inaros... I know that the ability has the healing to allies, but I've not done it with Inaros Tomb. I'm not going to do it with Inaros Crypt to kind of reel in, I think. Yeah. Yeah. When a Sankavat deals damage, Inaros regains 5 hit points per damage instance. Yeah. Which means if 3 Sankavats all attack the same guy, and so he takes 3 lots of 1d6 at the start of his turn, that's still 3 instances, so it would be 15 healing on his turn. That can still be a lot of healing for Inaros if the Sankavats are allowed to go unfettered. Yeah, that absolutely will become devastating. To mitigate that, let's bring down the tank on these Sankavats, definitely. So, I want them more likely to be hit and more likely to die, but more likely to hit themselves, hit other creatures whilst they're making all this happen. At challenge 19, the expected damage per round incoming is somewhere in the region of 95. So yeah, if I go for 40-ish, 45-ish, let's see, with the Constitution score at the moment, I'm going to bring that con down further to 12 for a +1. And this will be d8s. Let's see, so 45-ish divided by 5.5 would be about 8 slots of them. That'll be 44. That works. That's beautiful. That's a nice number. That'll be 8d8 plus 8. Looks kind of... Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Okay. It's 8d8 plus 8 for 44 hit points. Speed, we're going to make that a lot faster. 45 feet. Actually, it's still only what Inaros gets. Feck it. They're fast. 60 feet. Feck it. And I'm going to give them a bunch more dexterity. Bring that all the way up to 20 for a +5 to hit. Sorry, +5 dex. Means their plus hit would be at least a 7 so far. Which is better, but it's... Yeah, it's probably best to just leave that one there at 7. Now let's see, in terms of challenge rating. This thing is doing 10 damage per round average, but then it can continuously scale that from there. I expect it to live only about a turn, maybe 2, so doesn't need to worry about the escalation on that. But against more suitable to challenge stuff, it would last a few turns. So that'd be 10, 20, 30, cross over the bits there. Yeah, it's still average like 13 per round. So, if I just grab in Warframes, this bit here, 13 DPR, 44 hit points, AC of what it's got. Yeah, this is actually only close to challenge 2, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Attack bonus 5, it's got 7. Saving throw bonuses, it's mostly not got that, yeah. Yeah, this is a challenge 2 I've created. And challenge 2... TR XP 5E, I forget how much they are worth. 450 XP. And let's make that armor class 15 unarmored. That's all coming from the sand being sand. Just dodging out of the way. Sand doesn't have armor. It is just sand. Temporarily animated sand. Yeah, that nails it. There is a downside where it runs out sooner than anticipated. Is that a downside? No. Do you have a program that makes you make these D&D looking sheets? This is actually a website called the Home Brewery. I'll pop a link in the chat here for you. Give me a sec. It's that website right there that I'm using. And they have an updated renderer, which I will be moving over to in the final production of this. This is actually using an older renderer because it's taken that long to make this. There we are. What are they doing to your Hydroid? What do you mean doing to? Done. Hydroid got reworked ages ago. Hydroid is amazing now. Absolutely terribly amazing. Alright, now through all of this was one other thing I needed to adjust, which we came across, which was the Rumblers. Rumblers are immune to prone and petrified. There we go. The fact that that wasn't already a thing was a massive oversight on my part. Okay. Otherwise, missing from this, I need to put in 1 per short rest, Scarab Shell, and Sand Kavat 8th level. Scarab Shell I didn't improve yet. Let's improve that. 8th level. Plus 3 AC, rising to total 23. And plus 3 to all saving throws. There we are. The puddle still exists here, Zom. We still have the Ocean Hydroid. As of today's stream, there is now an Ocean Hydroid, a Swamp Hydroid, a Tomb Inaros, a Crypt Inaros, to account for the reworks. We still have the puddle, which means that this document is now technically better than Warframe, right? Right? Anyway, there we are. Unless I'm missing anything, that is complete. Dare I say it? Yeah. And in Sisters and Liches, yeah. But mostly, it's here. Alright, yeah. Have I missed anything, chat? You're my second pair of eyes on all this. Excuse me, what have I missed? We got Hydroid done, we got Inaros done, both of them fully upgraded, and also beta pass details. We even have Sand Kavats with the eroding bite. Yeah. This document now contains, there's 55 base warframes. Technically you can go 56 because Sevagoth has 2 forms. 57 because Equinox has 2 forms. 58 for the additional Hydroid. 59 for the additional Inaros. No AoE infestation. So the spread is from the Sankavats Ray. I decided to go with that rather than cast out, create clouds, and then also Kavat somewhere, somehow, something. To not have an overbearing feature, and to have the component parts of that feature still be capable, that's where the cut needed to be made. So the Sankavats exist, the healing exists, and that's the limit of it. So yeah, rather than AoE infestation, which leads to maybe creating Kavats, we instead just have Kavats that come in and screw your shit up, and Inaros just passively heals off of that. I took out the AoE. The Kavats might be a little too weak in the hit point department. Like, it's a spell that can be obliterated by 3 lots of 44 damage. But that's still 44 damage 3 times over that gets soaked up and isn't focused at Inaros, which is a heck of a lot. No, I think 44 hit points should be fine. Yeah, if the players are spending their turns attacking the Kavats, sure, Inaros isn't healing from that because they're dead, but he's effectively healed from not being attacked. That's a big deal. Until the wizard fireballs it all. You can't save it all. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap that up there then. That's it. We've got ourselves 2 new Warframes fully into position there. This document is absolutely flying by. I am really looking forward to when I can finally, one way or another, get this into you guys' hands in general, everywhere. I'm really looking forward to that. It won't be today. It won't be tomorrow. It's going to be in the near future, however long near that is. But we will get there. In the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I'll be live again on Sunday for some more actual Warframe. Be your absolute best selves. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.